gun-toting patriot, God-fearing patriot. Bryson, why they mad? Cause I'm real and they be faking it. Free speech advocate, it's on my mind, I'm saying it. I'm about to buy another gun and ain't nobody taking it. Gun-toting, Bible reading, God believing, truth speaking American. This MAGA season, Democrats committing treason. I know they think it's sweet, but you don't know who you dealing with. This for free thinkers only, you ain't got no membership. They free General Flynn out the cage cause he innocent. Barton Roger Stone cause the run know that he innocent. We need to kick out every single illegal immigrant. Mandatory voter ID laws we need to implement. Tell Justin Smollett that I know this MAGA country. Tell China we know they...
Hey guys, you should be able to hear me now. Okay, so just a few announcements. Let me go over this again. I am overcoming a head cold. I have some congestion, so you might hear that. So I thought of doing this debate overview so that I don't have to do too much talking because I'm a little sick. But that's okay. The show must go on. For other announcements, I don't have a guest tonight. Jimmy is taking a break for himself to catch up on some chores and just day-to-day life. And so I was like, that's fine. Jimmy always has an open invitation to join whenever he wants. And so since I don't have a guest, if you would like to join, the link should be in the chat. I will put another link just in case, so that you can come and join me. We can talk about anything you want, really. Obviously, the show is about politics. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about third-party candidates. And if you are a third-party voter, I would love to hear from you. So we are going to get into that in a second. And now I am going to say hello to everybody. And let's see who's here. John Marciano, who was the guest. Just me tonight. And if anybody wants to join, you can do so. Hi, Vern, King of Dots, Robert Kennedy Jr. But I really wish he would have joined this debate because it's really that good. And I would have loved to know more about, this Kennedy. But he declined this debate. So unfortunately, we're not going to be talking about him tonight because I don't know too much about him. Mr. M, welcome to the chat. And Eve 438, hello. Michelle Lynn, hello. Tad, hey Tad. I don't have $99. I live to join. Now you can join by just clicking that link and it will bring you straight to the studio if you want to talk about politics. Okay. Hello to Invisible Jesus 1919. I'm voting for myself. Danny Unchanged, third party, Trump 2024, baby. Okay, I get it. I understand. But like I said in my last episode, that I would love to entertain other candidates. I don't want to look like I'm biased just focusing on Trump all the time. And so Lucy texted on Discord and she shared this debate and I didn't even know this existed. So that's why I'm like, I think I should watch this alongside with you guys and get to know these other candidates that are also running for president. Never heard of them, never even heard of this debate, this platform ever. So this is a first for me. I don't know why I just never thought about looking into those candidates. Just been so busy. But that's okay. Tonight is the night to hang out. So you guys can hang out with me. I look at other candidates too, but they are not great either. Yeah, but you see the spectrum. You see what I'm saying? It's like you give attention to each candidates and then you see where you fit. You know what I'm saying? And like I said before, you should vote according to your values, and that might not be red or blue. You know what I'm saying? You might find yourself outside that box, and I do find myself outside that box. So this is This is why these debates are so, so wonderful. Okay, I am going to start actually sharing my screen. So let's see if this works. Okay. So really quickly, I am going to... Oh, one last announcement. If you would like to become a moderator for my channel, going through comments, taking out the trolls and things like that, I am so looking for a moderator. So you can definitely DM me on Discord. If you are on the server, please let me know if you would like to be a moderator. It would be every Tuesday, obviously, for live shows, and that will definitely help me do the chat side of things while I'm doing the live, the live stuff. Okay, I'm gonna play the intro and we're gonna get started. Okay, hello Jay, thank you. King of Dots, think about it, Ruby. You might have been raised around strong men. You prefer a Trump. Awesome. Awesome, Jay. Okay, so I will text you after tonight and then I can put you on my channel thing so that we can get that started. Danny Unchanged. I'm fair. I do give attention to other candidates. People think I don't because I'm a Trump voter, but I give everyone a chance. I liked Bernie Sanders. Oh my God, bro. I was such a Bernie fan back in the day, and Andrew Yang really had me going. It motivated me, got me so interested into politics in the very beginning, and I couldn't believe how Hillary stole that position from them, that nomination from Bernie. I was so sad about that. Okay, so I am going to share the first candidate that we are going to be getting to know tonight in these debates. His name is Chase Oliver, and I guess that's his VP. So this guy is really good. I want to play this video as well so we can just get a taste of who this guy is. Okay.
The record number of Americans favor a new political party.
57% of Americans still believe a third major political party is necessary.
Voting third party is a wasted vote? Bullshit. This is the establishment's most successful lie in modern politics. America is the only major country with free elections to only have two viable options. Not anymore. The Libertarian Party is the fastest growing political party in America and will be on the ballot in all 50 states. And when we talk about winning, we don't just mean winning the White House. There's all kinds of wins you can have in your state if you vote Libertarian today. We can win ballot access that makes it easier for future candidates to run for office. We can win major party status that gives us more attention from the major media.
I think it's a great day to be a Libertarian.
And we can have Libertarians getting elected all over the country in local races. Whenever Libertarian candidates are able to break through the mainstream media blackout, our support grows. In my televised debate with Senator Raphael Warnock, I was able to reach out to millions of voters. Many of them realized that they were Libertarian all along and just didn't know it.
Why is that the radical idea, not the rational idea?
If you live in a solid blue or a solid red state, voting for Trump or Biden is a wasted vote, and it won't change the outcome. Voting Libertarian is the only way to make your vote truly count. Currently, all the two major parties have to do is be slightly less evil than the other side to win. Let's make the statement that we will accept no evil. When someone tells you you're wasting your vote, recognize that they don't care about you. It's a selfish statement. They are saying that your beliefs are worth being represented, that you should silence your voice so theirs can be louder. Vote your conscience, not someone else's politics. Breaking up the duopoly is the only chance for the real radical change needed to give the power back to you, the people. Voting for Chase Oliver for president will contribute to bringing more choices into our political system. A successful third party forces the two old parties to think about the issues Americans truly care about. Keep them honest. Show them they must earn your vote. Change begins at the grassroots.
I'm Chase Oliver, a candidate for president, and I approve this message.
The record number of Americans favor.
Okay, so that was Chase Oliver, and he is running for the Libertarian Party. I think that was a really good video. I like this guy, especially in the debates. He's a really good debater. And spoiler alert, he won that debate, and that happened recently. I posted it in the link in the description, and this is his website. So we're just gonna take a quick look at it, because remember how I was telling you guys before, I was like, I really wish Kamala had a way better website than what she did. I didn't even see anything about her platform, what she's gonna run for, nothing. But if you look at this guy's platform, he has everything right here: inflation, economy, jobs, education. So you just click any one of these and it'll take you right to the paragraph where it talks about that specific issue. But if we scroll down, look at all that. I mean, this, to go through each and every one of these things from the libertarian point of view, I would have to do a separate stream just for this guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just way too much. So let's see. The next party that is also going to be debating in that debate is Jill Stein, and she is running for the Green Party. I've heard of these parties. I just haven't really done my research to see what they really believe in. And really, these people, I appreciate that they do represent their party well. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell that these people actually believe in what they say they do, because the debates went really into it. And I want to thank you, Lucy, for sending me that link. I watched it. This is going to be like the third or fourth time that I watch it. It's very informative. So important for more people to be involved in opening up their minds to different parties. So Jill Stein, okay, her platform is really simple. 3 things that, point out immediately: people, planet, and peace. And I went in, I read everything that she stands for. It really screams a lot of social issues, a lot of minority issues, LGBTQ, housing, climate change. It's really like, look at all this. Oh my God. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jill and what she stands for, the Green Party, all of this it deserves its own stream. But there is a lot of socialist viewpoints that, is screaming from Jill's website. So that's kind of what I came to my own conclusion about Jill. And then the third candidate that we are going to be watching is Randell Terry, and he is running for the Constitutionalist Party. This guy is amazing. He is one of my favorite by far. I mean, look at the hair alone. The hair alone, he's amazing. Okay, let's see about I can't remember navigating this website specifically, but I think this is his running VP with him, and he looks like a pastor. So, I mean, he is okay, yeah. They are targeting Catholic and Black voters with this message: never vote for a Democrat candidate again. I just love his energy. And so I'm going to link all of these websites in the description after the stream, because literally last minute I forgot that I didn't put their websites. Okay, so this is what Lucy sent me. Let's see if you guys can see this. Okay, free and equal presidential debate at Freedom Fest 2024. Okay, I thought I subscribed to them. What the heck? Okay, thank God I just found that. All right, so about a month ago, these debates happened. And so for the very first time, a sitting U.S. senator was a co-moderator, which I thought is super cool. So I am going to skip to the 7-minute, 22-second mark of the intro of this debate. So as you see here, we got Chase Oliver, Libertarian first, Jill Stein, Green Party second, and then last, Constitutionalists, Randell Terry.
Tonight's debate. Before we meet our candidates, it's an honor to introduce my co-moderator for tonight, U.S. Congressman, Kentucky's 4th district, that is, Representative Thomas Massie. Welcome.
Thank you. Bravo.
Tonight.
Thank you.
Tonight is the first time in history that a sitting congressman has moderated a presidential debate.
Yeah.
And there's no better person to get down deep to the issues than Mr. Representative Massie, right? Right? Come on. So tell us, Mr. Massie, why did you agree to moderate this now historic presidential debate tonight here at Freedom Fest in Las Vegas?
Well, let me tell you why I'm very interested in this. Before I became the hardened partisan you know me as, I voted for a Reform Party candidate for president. I voted for a Constitutional Party candidate for president. I voted for a Libertarian Party candidate for president. And in deference to our Green Party candidate, I've been described as the greenest member of Congress. So I'm looking forward to this debate. When I got to the House of Representatives, I wondered.
Okay, I'm going to just pause really quickly. I sped it up 1.25. Let me know if that's okay for you guys. For me, it is. I watch everything sped up because, you know, I talk fast. But if you want me to slow it down, let me know in the comments if you want to hear it from the regular video.
Why is there just two parties? And then I realized they have carved in granite and marble and oak and mahogany, only two sides to the debate. There are two cloakrooms and only two cloakrooms in the House of Representatives. You've heard of the smoke-filled back rooms. There are only two smoke-filled back rooms for every hearing there is. And you've heard the term bipartisan. Some days I feel transpartisan. I don't know which cloakroom to go into, and I'm not welcome in either. Ostensibly, there are two parties in Congress, but I want to offer three rebuttals to that. Number one, there have been independent members of Congress. One is Angus King, the senator from Maine. Another is Justin Amash. Now, it's hard to get out of that two-party system, so Angus King would caucus with the Democrats. But Justin Amash refused to caucus with anyone, and he called Angus King an I-know, an independent in name only. The second rebuttal I want to offer is there are actually 6 or 7 parties in Congress. We've just shoehorned them into 2. You've got the Freedom Caucus, you've got the Squad, you've got the Tuesday Group. There are voices within the two parties who are begging to be heard, who are oftentimes suppressed. And I think you'll find representatives of each of these parties, even though they don't have those letters beside their names, in Congress, but they can't come out and say what they really are. The final rebuttal I have to the fact that there are two parties in Congress is a lot of days, most days, there's only one party, the Uniparty. Oh, Tonight we get to hear from 3 people who are not in the Uniparty, and that is why I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Thomas Massie. I want to take a moment to thank our
Okay, I'm just going to pause it right there because I think he brought out so many good points. Okay, perfect. He mentioned the Uniparty, which is something that, if you remember me asking Jimmy, I'm so interested about the Uniparty. I'm still learning about that. But you see, you know, this guy mentioned it, and that's what really drew me in. I was like, oh, these are going to be some good debates. I loved that he actually was there, present. You know what I'm saying? Because wouldn't it make sense to have somebody who is already in government vetting people who actually want to join you know, like the same government that they are in? Wouldn't they, like, I would want to see more of them involved. So I'm so happy that this representative is there today. And I see you, you know, King of Dots in the comments. I've heard stuff like this about him. I mean, you're going to hear something about somebody all the time. You know what I mean? But just the fact that he's here, it means so much more. I guess to somebody like me, maybe because I'm new or something. I don't know. But right here, I feel like, yes, there should be more people that are already in government being, you know, participating a little bit more when it comes to the politics that we're discussing. So when he says that he is nobody on this stage is from that uniparty, and that's why he's taking out the time to, listen to this debate, be a part of it. I was like, whoa, that's powerful. So now I am going to skip. Okay, let me see. Okay, awesome. I am going to skip to Chase Oliver's opening, which is at the 12-minute. And okay, 12:01 mark.
Oliver, please.
So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for having us on the stage here at Freedom Fest. I think it's a great time for us to talk about freedom here on a stage full of those who are fighting for it, who are advocating for free market solutions, the free exchange of ideas, and free people. Now, I'm a libertarian because I believe that the government doesn't do a whole lot right. They don't do a whole lot well, and we can do a whole lot better if we had our own agency, the most local governance, self-governance guiding our lives. I'm a candidate who fights for the peaceful solutions, for the peaceful exchange of ideas, and to not use violence to push our ideas forward. That's two-party stuff. The two-party system insists on using the force and violence of government to push their ideas in the American public. I think the American public can do a heck of a lot better job deciding for themselves. Now, right now, we are in a country that has many crises facing us. First and foremost is a debt that continues to grow and spiral out of control. We just saw the deficit get updated to $1.8 trillion this year. Now, I don't see that it's on, but Congressman Massey usually wears the debt clock. It's rolling faster and faster and faster towards $40 trillion plus of debt. And that's going to affect our kids and our grandkids all over the country as they try to seek their place in the world. It's going to affect their prosperity, and it's affecting our prosperity right here and now. Because of the debt and deficit spending of our government, that is what creates inflation. When the government prints trillions of dollars out of thin air, it devalues the dollar that is in your wallet. That devalues the dollars that you take to the grocery store to fill up the grocery cart, the dollars you use to pay for your rent, the dollars you use to run for your business. And it's time for that to stop. We have to be brave enough to say no more debt and deficit spending, no more government out of control, and no more violence here at home or around the world, certainly not at the expense of the U.S. taxpayer. I'm somebody who's going to fight for the free market solution, for the freedom solution, and for the right for all people to determine for themselves their own future. If you're not hurting anybody with force, fraud, coercion, theft, or violence, your life is your life, your body is your body, your business is your business, and your property is your property. It's not mine, and it sure as hell is not the federal government's. Thank you very much.
That was good. That was a good start.
Dr. Jill Stein.
Thank you. Thank you so much again to Free and Equal and to Freedom Fest for tonight's debate, including candidates that are outside of the uniparty. And this is, in fact, what over 70% of Americans are calling for. It's time that we make this the norm, not the exception. And thanks to everyone who's here raising the bar. My name is Jill Stein. I'm the presumptive nominee for the Green Party, a people-powered party that does not take corrupting money from corporations or from wealthy elites, not from corporate PACs, super PACs, dark money, or other loopholes for legalized bribery that runs our political system. We're in this election to fight for working people and marginalized everyday Americans who've been thrown under the bus too long. We're the only pro-worker, anti-war, anti-genocide, climate emergency campaign already on the ballot for a majority of voters so we can truly contest for power. We're calling for an America that works for all of us, and we offer solutions to achieve that now, such as cutting more than half of the huge military expenditures that are squandering over half of our congressional budget in the endless war machine that is impoverishing and endangering all of us. We'll put that money instead into urgent needs here at home. We'll enact an improved Medicare for all that covers everyone comprehensively and saves $500 billion a year by cutting red tape and bureaucracy. We'll push back on the housing crisis with national rent control, a tenant bill of rights, ending the private equity takeover of the housing supply, and building quality social housing. And we can pay for these programs through savings in Medicare for all, cutting the military budget, taxing the rich, and reviving a productive economy. The need for deep change has never been so urgent, and the possibility of that change has never loomed so large.
Dr. Stein.
That was
Mr. Randell
okay,
Terry.
but I don't
In
agree.
October of 1984, I was standing in front of an abortion clinic in Binghamton, New York, and a woman was walking up. I walked out to say hi to her and said, "Are you going in to see the doctor?" She started cussing me out like a sailor. I said, "I'm sorry. I know this is awkward. I know it's embarrassing. I know it's difficult for me too." I'm walking alongside of her. She's yelling at me. I said, "Look, if there's anything I can do to help you, please, please tell me if there's anything I can do." She stopped right at the door of the abortion clinic and looked at me and said, "Did you say you would help me?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "I prayed this morning, God, if you don't want me to have this abortion, send someone to help me."
Nice.
I was there. I was the
Very
answer to
nice.
her prayers. We left, and I was with her. I was the only adult with her in the hospital when her baby girl was born. She named her Tila. We adopted Tila. Tila became a flautist, a singer, a dancer, a piano player. She was a princess. And suddenly, without explanation, in January, she died of a massive heart attack. 38 years old, left 4 children. But before she died, we were talking on the phone a lot and texting, and she was so excited about this campaign. She said, "Dad, use me as your poster child. Use me as your poster child." Because she hated abortion, and she knew that there were millions of Tilas that were already dead and millions more whose lives were in jeopardy. And she wanted to save them by making abortion illegal again. And I know there's people in this room and those watching on television who've participated in the death of a child by abortion. I'm not here to condemn you. I pray you find mercy and peace and forgiveness through our Lord Jesus Christ.
Yes.
But I'm telling you something. I have a message and a mission. Blood talks to God. And the blood of 65 million innocent babies is crying from the ground for vengeance. And one of the reasons we are in so much chaos in this country is because of the blood crying out to God. So the motto for my campaign is defend children, defeat the Democrat nominee, and destroy the Democrat Party. Thank you for letting me be here.
Okay, so first thoughts. What are your first initial thoughts? We got Chase Oliver, Jill Stein, and then Randell Terry. Oh my God. So Warden says he already lost me with the God talk. He's preaching. I get that. I get that. But those things are going to come up in politics. Unfortunately, I do believe that religious beliefs or inclinations, I don't know, leanings, it does mix in with politics because there are going to be certain things that come up, like he mentioned, abortion. And so if you are an atheist, you would have a different perspective than a Christian or, you know, any other, you know, religion. That's for church, not for government. Yeah, I get it. I totally get what you're saying. If anybody would like to join and discuss that, I put the link in the chat. You can join me here. Culty, hi guys, I'm late. I think I missed all the speeches. No, we just got started. This is their intros. So Chase Oliver is libertarian. So he's all for, you know, free markets and government shouldn't have, you know, a say in anything. I do feel like I am a little libertarian at heart. It's just certain things that I don't know. I can't explain it. I feel like there are certain things that the government needs to maybe keep in check. Like I don't want to say regulate because I am really like anti-Fed and anti-government. So I do agree with Chase Oliver most of the time. But then you see Randell, like that's the other side of me that comes out when I have my rants and stuff like that. So I totally relate to Randell, like the energy. I feel like we have the same type of energy when he talks about things that he's really passionate about. For me, Jill Stein, Green Party, absolute no. Absolute no. Even if you go on her website and you see what she really stands for, I mean, there's so many details in there to dive into. It's really giving socialism. It's really giving... I'm sorry. I can't, like, you know, like Jay said in the chat that he believes in capitalism. Me too. And I do believe that our capitalism is kind of hijacked by companies. So it's like a capitalist fascist, I think. That's the term that they would say. But anyways, I mean, they are going to get really deep and heavy into, you know, each of the things. Culty says, yeah, I checked her out and she she'd be a no for me. Yeah, she's just it's almost in the realm of unrealistic, and I know that a lot of us have different opinions about that. Um, but her ideology is a little, it's like a step further to more unrealistic. That's why I really, really like the Libertarian and the Constitutionalist Party. That is really tugging at my heart. Keith Silver, hello, welcome. Lucy, oh my goodness, sorry I'm late, long day at work. No problem, Lucy. Hi, Keith. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to get into, I think, the first questions. So let's see what they have to say for the very first question. Oh, hold on. Let me change this. Okay.
And before we start with our first question, every candidate has up to 4 rebuttals. Start with our first candidates, including 2 independents participate this evening. What would you say to the candidates who chose not to debate tonight?
Well, I'll start with the first 2. That'd be the Democrat and the Republican, Trump and Biden. I know you 2 men are afraid to actually be in a debate stage where you're going to argue about something that's more important than your golf score, where you're actually going to have to be coherent and actually have to defend your ideas. And I know that makes you scared. But don't be afraid, because there are other candidates who are willing to get on the stage. You see 3 of them right here. But there are 2 more that were invited to participate in this debate that want to be an independent outside of the 2-party choice for president for you, but didn't take the time to come challenge those ideas on the debate stage. Speeches are great. Speeches are fine. But it's so much better when you can challenge and defend your record and defend your beliefs on a debate stage. That's what the American people want to see. They want to see the passion. They want to see the fire.
Yes,
if you're not willing
I
to be on
do.
the debate stage, I have to question your commitment to actually wanting to be the president of the United States. So,
right. Robert Kennedy should have been here representing the independent party.
To the 2 independent candidates, and frankly to the Democrat and Republican who aren't here tonight, is get here next time. Don't be a coward. Don't practice the hubris that says, this is too beneath me. This is just the B team.
Right.
The truth is if you're waiting to be on a debate stage that will only include Donald and Trump and Joe Biden, unless you're Donald Trump or Joe Biden, you're going to be waiting a long time, because the 2-party system shuts you out. Each of us on stage recognizes this, and we take every opportunity we can. There's a huge group of people in this room that want to hear from a presidential candidate. Why can't you get on the stage and debate? And that's my challenge to both Robert Kennedy, Cornel West, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden. Get on the stage. Defend your ideas. This is the real debate. This is the real debate where people aren't afraid to answer the questions, where the questions aren't being controlled by a corporate media that wants to spread discourse and division amongst this country. This is a real debate where we're going to answer the questions plainly, honestly, and with our own true convictions. And that's something that Donald Trump and Joe Biden can't do anymore. I don't know if it's their advanced age or their inability to tell the truth, but they just can't do it. And Robert Kennedy and Cornel West, you should be on this debate stage with us, uniting the parties together, saying no more to the 2-party system. And if you can't do it, you're just as bad as the 2-party system. Get on this debate stage, you chicken.
I love that guy. I love him. I love him.
Thank you. Dr. Jill Stein?
Well, I'll agree with all that, and I'll say that one thing about the free and equal debates is that we have very different opinions, but we're all very respectful of each other.
Tell
we're
me
not tearing each other down as people. We're learning from each other and respecting each other's ideas. That's not something that we hear on the debate stage with the Democrats and the Republicans. We hear them hurling tomatoes at each other and tearing each other down and arguing about their golf scores and ridiculous things like that, distracting from the real problems that the American people need to be talking about. And that's what we're doing on this debate stage tonight. And I would note that the 2 candidates who are not showing up tonight, the 2 independents, have never shown up for debates, though one of them pleads for open debates, but is not willing to do that himself. And I'm talking about RFK there, who's been pleading with Trump and Biden to debate with him, has even challenged legally, but is not willing to extend that courtesy to his fellow candidates. So this is a problem. The American people, we know, demand open debate.
And pause, because RFK Jr. is, and the other one, Mr. West, I think his name is, they are the independent representation. You know what I'm saying? So where are they? So everything that they're saying, I totally agree with. Exactly. Where is RFK? So, okay, so allegedly he declined to come to this debate because he claims, why would I argue with my friends, people who I already agree with on most of the issues? What he really wants to do is debate either Trump or Biden because he feels like those are the ones that he really most disagrees with. But that's not even the point. Like, this is the real debates, like Chase said. This is why I love that guy, because I'm like, remember the other debates where I live streamed and I watched the entire debate with Trump and Biden? It was a disaster. It was horrible. I mean, even for Trump, for me, I felt like he went a step down to meet Biden. You know what I mean? Like, I would have never stooped that low. I think honestly, it is elder abuse to be putting Biden, up to these debates. Like, I don't know what's going on, but that was horrible. He should have been here, the independent representative for the nominee, whatever you want to call it, candidate. The independent candidate should have been represented in these debates because that's how good it was. And yet we still don't know what RFK stands for and Mr. West stands for. And they are independents. So that's that.
So it really is an affront to voters and to democracy. And it does demonstrate real inability to stand up and defend your ideas. In particular, RFK says that he's a peace candidate, but he very much supports the genocidal war in Gaza. And I would like to ask him, how can you describe yourself as a peace candidate? Are you saying that the war against Gaza is not a war? That is a war. It has the potential to explode like some of the other worst wars, like the war in Ukraine. Both of these are wars that could go nuclear, that are expanding, that are incredibly dangerous right now. And RFK needs to be here to defend his policies. He also claims to be against the big money system, but he's very much a part of that big money system and has a super PAC, which last I heard had about $50 million in it, contributed largely by 2 people. So I'd like to hear how that is,
Jill, stop talking. Your time is up, girl.
Stand up and defend your ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lord,
Randell Terry.
All right, so we'll start with questions. For Bobby Kennedy, you made chickens. I saw one right there. You made chickens that you used at the where you wanted to go after Biden and Trump. They wouldn't let you on the stage. So my question to Mr. Kennedy, since he doesn't want to be up here with us, is can we just recycle your chickens? Maybe cut them up and make them into Bobby McChickens. I don't know. All right. For Trump, here's my question. You see that as you've toned your rhetoric down over the last few weeks, your poll numbers have gone up. Do you wish you had learned this lesson sooner? For Cornell West, who does your hair? Help a brother out here, would you? And then for Biden,
this guy is off the hook.
Joe,
like, you can tell he's off the hook.
How many fingers am I holding?
But I love this guy.
Far. The creepy whisper. Now to the serious questions, Dr. West.
He's trolling.
You know the
numbers. That's what Trump used to do.
12% of American women are African American, but 36% of dead babies by abortion are committed on Black women.
Mm-hmm.
It's grotesquely out of balance because abortion was always targeted at Black people and at minorities. It is Black genocide, and Cornell West knows it. And how can you possibly tie it together with other issues? To Trump, thank you for giving us judges that overturned Roe versus Wade. Thank you. But why did you mock DeSantis? Why did you throw the babies under the bus? Why did you change the party platform? Do you really want to wade through the blood of innocent children to get back into the White House? And to Biden and to Kennedy, my question is very simple. How can you possibly betray your faith? You say that you are Catholic, and yet you have betrayed Jesus Christ. You have betrayed the children. You have betrayed innocent blood. And do you not fear God that you will face him with blood on your hands if you continue down this path?
Thank you.
That's my question.
Appreciate it.
Yes, that's a very good question. No, I have to pause right there and dig into what he just said. And this is why I love him, because I feel the exact same way. When I was on Steph Woke Up channel. Oh my God, I forgot her channel name. Oh my God. All right, XJW Steph. And we were talking about Serena. I said the exact same thing. A lot of fake Christians are out here and they run on it. just like Joe Biden, just like what he said, RFK Jr. So they do betray their faith when they be doing things that or supporting legislation that doesn't align with your own values. You know what I'm saying? So they claim to be Catholic, but then they support things that are unbiblical. It's kind of sad and really disgusting to see it. So I'm so happy that he said that, like he brought that out. And these are the things that you don't see on national television. You don't see these types of debates where real conversation, real points are being brought up. Like, wow, I love that guy. He's amazing.
To clarify, the chickens were funded by the super PAC by Kennedy, not debate tonight. I hope that they will be. I hope they'll be at our fourth debate this.
To fix the inflation crisis affecting cost of living, things like fuel, food, and housing. Dr. Jill Stein, you may go first.
Great. So it's very important when spending money into the economy that money actually create growth in the economy. Because if you're simply throwing in dollars and you have a fixed pot of goods and services, you're going to drive inflation. So throwing money into the economy without actually growing it is not a good thing.
How would you fix the
So
inflation
simply
crisis affecting the cost of
providing
living? Okay, that's
corporate tax breaks, or for that matter, the military expenditures have been hugely inflationary, and that is now costing us $1 trillion a year in our military budget, yet that is not actually growing the economy. We need to also trim our expenses, and we need to cut the fat from healthcare in particular. In healthcare, we're spending over $4 trillion a year, quite a bit more than on our military budget even, 4 times as much. Yet we know that 1 out of every $3 in healthcare right now is spent basically on bureaucracy and paper pushing. And by moving to a Medicare for all system, we basically trim the waste out of healthcare. And doing that, we can actually save $500 billion a year at the same time that we massively expand healthcare. Because right now, so many Americans, 87 million Americans, do not have health care, either lack it entirely or are inadequately insured, cannot afford their pharmaceuticals, cannot go to a doctor or an emergency room when they're sick. We have a healthcare crisis, yet we are wasting so many of our healthcare dollars, spending twice as much in this country per person as we are in any other, in the next biggest spender, actually, around the world. So we can do much better with our healthcare dollars, and we can trim them enormously. Likewise, the fat in the military budget. Is that budget actually making us safer and more secure? No, it's actually impoverishing us and endangering us all around the world while draining $1 trillion. So we will cut the military budget in half and ensure that our dollars are actually used productively.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, wait, no. You see, see, this is the fight that I have against myself, is because they wanna. Well, she basically said, "What, defund the military?" Was it Jimmy who said like we are stronger with the strong military? So okay, that is my internal struggle with politics, because even though I'm so like anti-war and I hate it or whatever, anti-military industrial complex, I gotta give in sometimes, because I'm like, if we are not better, faster, and better just at everything around the world, we can't fall behind. You know what I mean? Like, we cannot risk falling behind in anything that has to do with military stuff. So that's the one thing that I kind of have that struggle. So when she said defund the what? Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. Sorry, Jill. I don't know.
Much. Randell Terry.
I am a musician, and when President Biden started pumping hundreds of millions and billions of dollars into people's pockets so that we could sit at home during the manufactured COVID crisis, he saved the largest big box retailer of musical instruments in America. They were in bankruptcy. And everyone got money, and everyone was staying at home, and they went out and bought music instruments, or they had them sent in the mail, and it was great for the music industry. And the price of instruments went through the roof. There was massive inflation because all this money was pumped into the economy. We saw it happen with housing again when all that money was pumped into the economy. And people started saying, I want to get out of some of these really dangerous cities. Here's what I fear. Everyone in this room, because of our reading of libertarian and sound economic theory, understands we need to go to real money, not fiat money. We need to get away from fractional reserve banking. We understand these things. The issue is this: we're in uncharted waters in the history of the entire human race. There has never been this much debt, and never has this much debt been tied to fiat currency. So let's say that we did move towards gold-backed currency or towards real precious metals, however that would work, trying to transfer enormous sums of money. We would have a debtor's hell, because the opposite of inflation is deflation. We don't know how this is going to end, people. One thing I believe that we need to do without question is to have complete, utter, total energy independence. If we had our own oil, we have the greatest reserves in the world. Drill, baby, drill. That is my motto. Put the pipeline in. We should be paying $1.90 a gallon for gas. We should not be slaves to Saudi Arabia and live in a fantasy world that we can somehow put solar panels on our cars and make them drive. Yes, we want to move in that direction. Ultimately, that is not where we are today. And today we're being choked to death because of the amount of money we are spending on fuel. So I apologize, I'm about out of time. The answer is, I don't know what we're going to do. And history is going to record that bad people made bad decisions.
Your time's I'm missing, I wish I had my gavel that they gave me in Judiciary Committee.
I've seen a lot of gavels in my life. Guilty. Take him to jail.
Chase, was that his rebuttal that he just used? Chase Oliver.
How do we boost the economy and get our economy back on track? The first thing we need to do is stop putting money into the hands of Washington, D.C. central planners who decide these things for us, and return the money back to individuals to make decisions for themselves. Because the most powerful market force is the trillions of individual decisions that Americans make each and every day in the marketplace. The worst hindrance to that is central planners in Washington, D.C. deciding where your money needs to go, what it needs to be invested, and picking those winners and losers. So that's what we have to do, is get ourselves out of the way. Get government out of the way of innovation. That's what will boost our economy. Reduce the debt, reduce the deficits, and you have to do that by cutting spending. You can't just cut taxes, because when you cut taxes, you create debts and deficits which drive up inflation and is a hidden tax on every single American. So not only do we have to cut taxes, which I would love, but we have to cut spending, and you do that by being brave enough to grab the third rail of American politics, Social Security and entitlements. We have to get these under control or remove them entirely. Why? Because my generation right now, I'm paying every paycheck I get into a Social Security program that will be completely bankrupt by the time I'm retired and need to retire. It's a better idea to sundown that program to allow individuals to save for themselves and to actually have a real retirement. But in every single facet of our economy, the government does too much, makes too many decisions, and moves our money around. My grandfather used to tell me the government will tax you $1 and give you a dime. That is because of the inefficiency of a government bureaucracy, the red tape, and the bribery that happens at our government level. And it's time for that to stop. How do we boost the economy? We get the government back down to size, where it's small enough to fit in the palm of our hand, and let each and every one of us make the decisions for ourselves, how best to live our lives, spend our money, and contribute to this economy. That will create growth we have never seen in this country in my lifetime, because we've never seen someone who's brave enough to actually cut spending in my lifetime. And it's time for that to change.
Wow, amazing. You see, that guy is amazing. I love that guy. I love Chase. And just like Colty said, I agree and disagree with some and all of these things. I feel like I wish I could like cherry pick all of the good things from all these three different people, Trump and, well, not Biden, but I wish I could cherry pick a bunch of stuff and put it into one person and manifest it into a human being and run for president, because I feel like I do agree with the libertarian side. I don't really agree with Jill, and I don't really agree with Biden. So sorry to them, but and I agree with Randall. I saw some of your comments about the healthcare. That is insane. $400. That's insane. It's insane. But just to point out, like, that's when politics really like came into our lives, was because when Obama did the Obamacare, and that kind of forced it literally forced every American citizen to have insurance, or else if you didn't have insurance, they would charge you for that. And so when you go for income taxes, they would take it out your income taxes. And so I remember thinking, yeah, I don't know much about that because I wasn't really into politics back then. But when we went to go do our income taxes, it was literally taken away. It wasn't a choice. They took that money because you didn't have insurance for whatever. If you had like a gap of a month or whatever, they would take the amount out. And that's when my mind opened up at that H&R Block, and I said, "What? They're charging us because we don't have healthcare insurance? What?" And so that was one of the times I woke up to politics, and that was in like 2016. I realized how that it can really implement in your life. Like, it could really make or break it for you, just like inflation with the groceries, how the prices have increased. So certain things like that, that's when I realized that politics is important and it does matter, and it does sometimes spill into religious topics, because you're gonna have an opinion about it, and you're gonna bring up what your values are. And if you are a Christian, those values will be different from an atheist, or from a Muslim, or from a Buddhist, or from any other religion that's out there, because we have freedom of religion here. You know what I'm saying? So it is different. That's why I like Vivek, because even though he's Indian, or I don't think he's Christian, but he said, like, fundamentally Christianity and his own beliefs, they do have very like similarities. And so that's why he was using his platform and speaking about that. And I was like, I'm thankful for somebody like Vivek to run, and to run for president, despite being not what you would normally see for president. You know what I'm saying? Like, Obama was the first Black president, and stuff like that. I appreciate that. So anyways, yeah, just wanted to point that out, and I will let them continue.
Do we have any rebuttals, expansions on that question before we move to the next one?
Well, I can't resist.
Jill.
Okay, I'm not gonna do rebuttals. I don't got time for
notion
that, so I'm just gonna go to question number 3. If you want to watch that, you can definitely
Giving
watch
us our
that.
own individual agency doesn't mean that we're not going to community water without any ever happening again. Poison are accountable. So right now, remove and do suction. Help with.
I'm just gonna.
Anyone else, Randall?
One of the core concepts we're debating is, where was the Savior born? But this Reagan could do.
I just want to get to the
job.
questions. Lord have mercy.
Global promote peace are
Okay,
rising.
right here.
How would you ensure that our actions promote peace and prevent escalation, that is, towards a nuclear conflict? Randall Terry. Louder.
Your mic just
Mic
died.
went out.
America, I believe.
Okay, her mic went out, and I'm gonna just skip it. If you do want to go, like, for rebuttals or whatever, the link is in the description. You can definitely watch the back and forth. It was really good. I did watch it a few times, but I'm just gonna do the questions and just dig into that, because this is like an hour and something long. So I'm just gonna go straight to the question. How would you promote peace and avoid nuclear conflict?
Even the ability to shoot down missiles from the sky and not kill our people in our cities. There you go.
Chase Sullivan.
Well, I think the first way we start promoting peace is ending the war machine that exists around the world that's backed by the United States taxpayer. I got started in politics being an anti-war activist opposing the Bush wars during the War on Terror years, because I saw a war in Iraq that was manipulated by CIA data to bring our troops into harm's way, and it killed thousands of troops. It killed and displaced millions of Iraqis, and now we have tens of thousands of military veterans who have suffered from suicide due to the trauma they suffered from the United States war machine. So as commander-in-chief, the first thing I'm going to do is signaling that we're removing our military footprint from every single continent. We are not the world's police. It is not our job to have to fight wars all over the world. It is not our job to exacerbate conflict in the world. In fact, the best way that we can promote peace is through free trade. free markets and actually engaging in free commerce and voluntary exchange with nations around the world. Because if I'm selling something to you or I'm buying something from you, I don't have a vested interest in shooting at you. And that's the way we change this. Right now, we've been exporting our values around the world with the bomb, the bullet, and the drone. And it has led to further tension against the United States. It will eventually, as Ron Paul and others have said in the past, it will lead to blowback if we continue this. We have to end the war machine and promote peace through actually saying we are not going to be dropping bombs on your kids anymore. That's the first thing that we need to be doing. How many Iraqis are dead? How many people see their kids dying
preach,
around the world?
Chase.
How many kids have died in Gaza today or in the Ukraine war because the United States has exacerbated the conflict? It is time for us to have a new foreign policy vision, one that is rooted in actual free trade and diplomacy with our neighbors, because that's the way we engage with our neighbors here at home. We engage in commerce and discourse and respect with one another. We don't shoot our neighbors just because we disagree with them, and we need to make that the policy of the United States. No more war, end the war machine, end the death machine all around the world, and support peace.
Yes. You see, if I
Dr.
would
Jill
just
Stein.
listen to Chase, I would say I'm a libertarian. You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree with like 95% of the things that this guy is saying. So I don't know. You know what? If I didn't have a close primary, I think I would change my registration to either libertarian or constitutionalist, and I would vote for either Chase or for Randall. Like, legit would vote for them. I love this debate, and that's why I'm bringing it and showing it to you guys, because if your state doesn't have close primaries, you still have time to change your registration and to possibly vote for one of these men. Just like Chase said, they say, oh, don't vote third party because your vote is not going to count. No, I don't believe in that. I never believed in that from the get-go. I was like, no, if I want to register as an independent or any other party and vote for them, your vote would count for that person. It doesn't take away or give to anybody. It just gives to the person who you're voting for. We do need to break away from that two-party system, the blue and the red. I agree with that. And that's how I started out. But I didn't really know this. You know what I mean? Like, back in the day in like 2018, when I was registered and I registered as an independent, I didn't really get involved and I really didn't know things. So I didn't know who was running as an independent. I didn't know where to go or like what websites or their campaign. Like, I knew nothing. So that's why I'm happy that I'm doing this now, because you still have some time. We have like less than 3 months to the election. So you can vote for any one of these guys.
So we currently have a foreign policy based on militarism. There's a name that the Pentagon gives to its military policy called full spectrum dominance. It's sort of peace through strength taken to the nth degree, which is that the US shall dominate all potential spheres of conflict, all competition across the world in all possible domains, in the sky, on the land, on the sea surface, under the sea, in cyberspace, and so on. And this has led to so many conflicts where we are basically seeking to dominate. And we see now ourselves really on the verge of potentially nuclear conflicts in 3 areas around the world. In Ukraine, where we are fighting a proxy war, which could have been avoided had we simply respected the promise that was made to Gorbachev at the time that Germany reunited. And we said, we're not moving 1 inch to the east. And it was well known that if we did move 1 inch to the east, we were going to be treading on Russia's border. And I just want to make the point that what Russia is doing around its border is exactly what we did when Russia moved its missiles into Cuba. And we had launched the nuclear missiles. Fortunately, our leaders had the good sense to talk with each other and to use diplomacy. They don't seem to do that now. They seem hell-bent on using basically competition weapons and showing that I'm tougher than you are. And we're now moving up this escalation ladder right now in both Ukraine and in Israel, which is absolutely terrifying. Remember that 1 nuclear-armed submarine contains the equivalent of 5,000 Hiroshima bombs. And we have 14 of these nuclear-armed submarines. And the US, unfortunately, dismantled 2 of our major nuclear treaties. It only takes a few of those weapons to trigger nuclear winter. It doesn't matter that it's over there. It affects us all. Just 1 nuclear sub would basically wipe us all out from nuclear winter. We need to back off. We
Well,
need to
thanks,
abolish
Jill.
nuclear weapons
Thanks for
altogether.
that black pill.
Randell Terry, did you want to rebuttal?
I do. The
Oh my
issue is
God.
peace and justice. You can have peace and you can have tyranny. So there is such a thing as just war. And there are times where we have to fight. We
Yes,
have to
Lucy.
kill people. World War II was a just war. And part of the problem with people who just want to rail against war is that they're perfectly content to let other people have the heel of oppression on the back of their neck as long as it's not on our neck. And they damned him with faint applause. But it's true. So we're in America. We don't have to worry about what's going on around the
love
world
that guy.
in the way that they have to worry about it. But there is the concept of the Augustinian theory of just war. We have wars of retribution. We have wars where we go in and deliberately kill tyrants and we leave and we let people be free. Part of the problem that we've had is that our foreign policy is not based upon human rights. It's based upon deep water ports and on oil. That's what our foreign policy is based on. And so that's
Exactly,
going to always
Randall.
screw the little guy in another country.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So I would argue against the notion that any war that we're engaging in right now is a just war, because these aren't wars that are, first off, not declared by Congress. They're not legal wars. They're not wars that are actual wars. They're military conflicts.
Thank you,
But
Chase.
secondly, these aren't just wars that are fighting out of the altruistic nature of wanting to help people around the world. These are wars for profit. These are wars that profit a military-industrial complex that makes money by killing people all over the world. And we allow our tax code and our budget to fund these things. Frankly, Boeing, you can build something else. Raytheon, you can make something else other than bombs. I am so sick and tired of saying we have to kill people around the world to make our economy strong because we make weapons components in these random congressional districts. That is BS. That is justifying the murder of innocent people for the profit of a military-industrial complex to which you don't get profited off of. They do. And so if we want a foreign policy that's rooted in peace, we have to examine first why we're not having that. And it's because we have a military-industrial complex that makes the money off of the death, makes the money off of the misery. And I can think no more unjust, disgusting way to make money than to do it by killing innocent people around the world.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Good word.
And I would add to that it's not only.
Yes, I like
I'll
Chase.
use my
Go
30
ahead.
seconds.
Yes,
Okay.
please. You have a minute.
Yeah, it's not only that there's profiteering off of death, but this is what's driving the wars in the first place. That you have the war contractors who are lobbying, who are providing campaign contributions, who are providing jobs, and they're basically ginning up a war industry. And the minute you end one, like when we withdrew from Afghanistan, there was supposed to be a peace dividend, but what happened? Then suddenly we were in Ukraine. Ukraine for really no good reason at all, nothing that benefited the U.S.
Lindsey Graham recently gave us the real reason. Did you guys see that?
Dwight Eisenhower said, by the military-industrial complex
Oh,
that is
man.
making money by creating war, and we need to stop it.
Yeah, that's why. See, that's why I'm anti-war. Those are the reasons why.
At this moment, you hear?
Your mic is dead.
From Texas. Thank you.
We've seen foreign influence and control of U.S. food and agriculture grow significantly in the past several years, especially in meat processing. Do you support the U.S. food supply becoming more independent? And how would you protect the autonomy of American farmers and the security of our food supply? Chase Oliver.
Well, I think the first thing we need to do is quit attacking family farms by supporting giant agribusiness via the Agriculture Department. We parse out favors and benefits to giant businesses that the average family farm just is not seeing in this country. And now I support independent farming. I support us having a free market and people being able to buy land and use it for what they wish.
Okay,
but I think what we have right now
here, and I'm
is
going to skip to the next question. That's about food supply. If you want to go and watch that at home, it's at the 47-minute mark. I'm just going to skip over to the next question. Let's see, where is that? Do you support? Okay, that's the same question, because they go into food and stuff like that. But I think this is more interesting over here.
Such as AIPAC, be allowed to donate money to political campaigns and the influence of legislation and policy decisions. Dr. Jill Stein.
no, they should not be allowed to donate to political campaigns and otherwise influence policy decisions. And I think we're talking about AIPAC in particular. And AIPAC should be required to register as a foreign agent. And that would effectively shut down the inordinate influence that AIPAC has on behalf of the state of Israel. And, you know, I think it's not fair for the state of Israel to have an enormous lobbying force on Capitol Hill. There are many people in this country who will advocate on behalf of Israel. But, you know, there are also people in Palestine who deserve to be heard as well, who are suffering, who are the victims of an incredible genocide that the world is in agreement with right now, that genocide should be shut down. That genocide is violating international law and human rights. And unfortunately, because of the inordinate amount of money, I think it's $100 million that AIPAC is spending in this election, we do not have an adequate discussion and a debate because it's become politically toxic to even speak out about this critical war that is murdering. It's not only some 38,000 people who've been killed, according to the journal The Lancet that just published last week, it's more like 180-some thousand that are actually being killed in this war. And if we have, you know, concerns about a right to life before birth, how about a right to life after birth? And slaughtering innocent children and elders and people right now who should not be the victim of this horrific, absolutely horrific and shameful war. It should be stopped immediately. Joe Biden can do that with a phone call to Bibi Netanyahu.
Thank you. Thank you, Jill.
That was a good
Randall.
answer. Very good answer.
There's no chance in heaven or hell that Joe Biden could stop the war with one phone call to Netanyahu. Not a chance. It's not possible. But I digress. Should foreign lobby groups be allowed to donate to campaigns? Yeah, if we want to self-destruct, I think it's a great idea. No, of course not. But there's an overarching issue here, and that is that money has so utterly, completely corrupted our system of government. We may never recover from it.
Yes.
We are being controlled and manipulated by a handful of billionaires right now.
Yes.
That's what's going on. And any single one of us on this platform could kick Joe Biden's ass in a presidential race. We could win.
Yes.
Any single one of us could beat him.
They
But
can.
we don't have the billions of dollars, hundreds of millions and billions being poured in to buy television and radio ads and newspaper ads and drop mailings and internet and all these things. It takes money to compete with money. And because of the Supreme Court ruling and because of the money corrupting the system right now, we are watching the demise of true representative government.
Yes.
What's happening
That's
is that
what
people who are elected are representing
this
the
guy's
people
cooking.
who have the strings.
This guy's
right?
preaching.
That's what's going on.
Yes, that's exactly
So
how I feel.
If we are going to see the restoration of representative government, we are not a democracy, but a representative republic. If we're going to see that, we are going to have to change the laws on campaign finance. It's just that simple. And then President Trump and President Biden, you know what? Guess what they're going to do? They're going to come on the stage and they're going to debate with us because they don't have billions of dollars being poured in through the back door to promote some of their malarkey and their insanity.
Malarkey.
Oh, and by the way, the Democrat Party must be destroyed.
Right. He says that after every sentence, after every time. I love
Thank you,
it.
Randall. Chase?
So I'm going to be frank and honest. Powerful interests have always controlled governments from the beginning of time. This is why government is immoral and why we should strike government down as much as possible. But the truth is money is speech, and it is. You have the right to spend your money and try to influence people as much as you want to. But what I want to see is full transparency of who's putting that money and where it's going to. So if we should change anything, we should make the process more transparent to see who is buying and trading our Congress people. Now, when it comes to AIPAC, I want them to be just as transparently exposed as much as anyone else, because they are. They, like every other lobbying group, are trying to purchase influence via money in the electoral process. Doesn't always work, though. We actually are sitting right here on a stage with somebody who had a lot of AIPAC money thrown against him. His two primary opponents got so much AIPAC money, he was outspent a lot. But the people in his community knew who he was. They knew exactly where he stood, and they stood by him for that. Money does not have to equal success in this country. You can actually fight the good fight, put your principles forward, and be honest about who you are and who you're representing. And when you do that, you can win races even if AIPAC puts money against you.
There you go, man. Chase said it the best, okay? When you really vote, like I'm telling you, when you really put your mind to it, you get involved, you go door knocking. And I know that's triggering for some of us. But I literally got like a text recently that they would pay you to go door knocking to talk about I think it was ending abortion, some stuff that, because I'm like in this abolitionist movements type of things. So that's the point, is to get involved in what you're passionate about. And like Chase said, they put millions of dollars against Thomas Macy, I think his name. I think that's how you pronounce it. And yet he won because he had the vote. Okay, that's what matters. And that's why I love politics, and I love this, to be able to finally participate and feel like your voice is being heard. You can talk to these people. You can attend these rallies, get to know your representatives. And if you don't like them, or if they don't give what they've promised in their campaign, and you voted for them and you feel like backstabbed, and you feel like this is not what you wanted, vote them out. Make them lose their job. That's the point. If you don't do good at your job, you get fired, right? So you need to start firing these representatives that do not represent you, and start getting involved.
Somebody who is honest with you. The truth is we do have too much money in our politics. We have too many billionaires controlling things. But why is that? Because our government is so powerful and controls so many things that it attracts people who want to use their money and power to influence it. And they do so with the monopoly of force that government enjoys. I would much rather see government chopped down to size and see these people have to peddle their influence in a true free market without the monopoly of violence backing up, and see if their ideas can really stand the muster of a free market of ideas. I don't think many of them can, and I think that's why so many people are so interested in keeping the government large, abusive, and intrusive in our lives, because they know they can never win in a true level playing field.
I saw Jill.
Great answer, Chase.
Please, Jill.
Great answer.
I just want to respond to Randall's statement.
Okay, I'm going to skip the mentions. She talks too much, and she goes over her time. And if you want to do that at home, you can definitely look that up.
Israel has a right to respond to a terrorist. What happened?
They go into the Israel and Gaza.
How would the next question?
Just a lot right now.
We're going to start off with Randall answering this one. How would you put an end to the child sex trafficking epidemic in the United States, Randall?
Number one, execute the people involved in kidnapping and child
sex.
Public executions.
Yes.
We can talk about how long we torture them. We can talk about how they're killed. All right, maybe that's a little much. They need no justice.
Like, this is how we talk at home. And he's like this on the stage. I love this guy.
Is tantamount or the same on an ethical level to executing a murderer. You're insane if you believe that. Justice requires that a baby be allowed to live. Justice requires that a kidnapper and someone selling a little girl or little boy in sex trafficking, that their life is forfeit. So, I got one amen out of the crowd. Thank you, sir. So another thing, deal with the southern border. Deal with the southern border. That's where so much of this is happening. We've got a border where they know that children are being brought in. It's abominable. It's treacherous. It's hideous. And the people who are in charge, who want cheap labor for our crops or for our, standing outside of Home Depot. And I've hired them before. I don't say to them, can you show me your ID, please? Are you from America? I say, yeah. Will you come and help me with my house? Let's go. I do. I'm not the government. The point is that our southern border is the fountain of a huge portion of the child sex trafficking. But I'm going to go one step further. all that you see happening, and I agree with you that the loss of life in Gaza is horrifying. So I do not support that. But all that we see happening, the hostility toward children, the animosity, look at the Democrat Party platform.
Yes.
They want to kill babies up to the day of birth. They want to tell children that here's a condom, here's the pill, here's some pornography. You've had sex education. Oh, little boy, you want to cut off your penis and become a girl? We'll do that. Little girl, you want to cut off your mammary glands and become a boy? We'll help you do that. This is a war on children. And
Thank you, Randall.
Why I say the Democrat Party must be destroyed.
Yes,
Thank you, Chase.
So how do we put an end to the child sex trafficking epidemic in the United States? We put law enforcement on the job. We arrest those. We take those out of society. We remove them from our society. But why and how can we do that? How can we do that? Well, we do that by removing the victimless crimes that don't need to be being prosecuted against in the first place, because there's only so many hours in the day for law enforcement. And I would rather than focus on crimes of sex abuse of children or actual harm, physical abuse, force, fraud, coercion, theft, or violence. Those are the things I want police to be focusing on. But right now we have police focusing on all sorts of stupid regulations, trying to legislate and decide what you do peacefully in your own home as an adult with what you ingest or any other thing, the failed war on drugs. And so much of what we do is we live in an over-criminalized society that makes it hard for police to actually put their eye on the ball on the real violence that's occurring, the real victims that are being persecuted. And then when we talk about the border, yes, we need to solve the border crisis. We need to make it easier for peaceful people to come in here and do those jobs and get hired by Randall outside of Home Depot. We need to make it easier for people to come here and work, because when we allow people to come here who are peacefully to come through a process that works, we can then put our eye on the ball with the people who are trying to traffic people across our border for the purposes of labor or sexual exploitation. But again, there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much capability for law enforcement out there. So let's free them up from having to fight victimless crimes that have no real need to be prosecuted against, and let's give them the thing that they need to be doing. Let's put their eye on the ball and say, go after people who commit violence in our country, whether it's against adults or children. When you're trafficking people, you're creating real harm. You're traumatizing people. You're ruining lives, and that deserves to be prosecuted against. And so if we're going to be putting the police and unleashing the police on anything, those are the people that I would like to see law enforcement take care of and get them out of my peaceful life and my peaceful existence so they can better punish those people and remove them from society.
Okay, you see right there, this is why I said in the beginning that they really do truly represent their party, because that is exactly what a libertarian would say. As long as take them out of my peaceful life, as long as it's not bothering me, then it shouldn't be a problem. As long as they're not committing crime or hurting people, or that those are the talking points of a libertarian. You could totally tell a libertarian in a group. And that's the part, is that even though it's not affecting you directly, you personally, I still think, and this is where I struggle, that laws or government, well, not government, but maybe societal structures should, I guess, be molded or maneuvered in a way that would bring shame on things that should be shameful, and that should uplift things that are morally good and biblical, which is why I say in previous streams that I do feel like I am a Christian nationalist, because it's, being a Christian nationalist doesn't mean codifying Christianity into law, like federal law. No, it means more of like that social, everyday community life and just like the everyday typical things, right? So that's what I mean by that, because although it may not be hurting me personally what somebody else does in the privacy of their own home, as soon as you step out in the public square, that is where you should have a common, decency, common respect. You're not going to have a man walking in the street dressed like a woman or wearing makeup. It's not decent. It's not. And it's not, and it's not illegal. You see, that's what I'm saying. It's not to make it illegal. It's to make it like public shame should come back. Because back in the day, you would be clowned for that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean when I say Christian nationalism. A libertarian wouldn't say that. A libertarian would say, well, he has the freedom and the right to do that. It's not illegal. He can go ahead and do it. He's not hurting anybody. And that's the point where I would disagree with when it comes to libertarianism, is because, yes, when I step out my house with my children, I do not want to see that. I want a society and a structured community that doesn't have that in the public square. So when you go out to the store, you're not going to see somebody in pajamas shopping at Walmart. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to go to places, the supermarket or where you shop, and see a woman not even wearing a bra or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just like the decency has gone so low that pushed me to these conclusions, because back in the day, I didn't care how people dressed or how people, talked in the street. I mean, even people who curse in public, I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like, there should be a certain way of acting in public, and dress and grooming should be brought back. And I know that people are going to say, oh, that's like the 1950s are calling you. They want you back. But I'm sorry, that's just me. I'm very traditional. And so that's where I disagree with libertarianism. And but I love everything that he's saying and what they're standing for. But yeah, that's just my little 2 cents.
And I think we want to stop the flood of people fleeing disasters in their home countries coming into this country. If we want to address the crisis of immigration, the most important thing we can do is to stop causing it in the first place by regime change, operations, by overturning governments, by upending democracies through corporate domination in the economies. In Haiti, for example, Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, after the U.S. had overthrown Aristide for the second time, Hillary Clinton, also a member of this party that needs to be overthrown, went to Haiti and overturned Haiti's referendum. Haiti had doubled its minimum wage from 30 cents an hour to 60 cents an hour. How extravagant. 60 cents an hour. But Hillary Clinton didn't like what that meant for some of the clothing corporations sitting in Haiti for the cheap labor. So Hillary Clinton basically overturned the referendum passed by the people of Haiti. And this is the kind of interference in government south of the border that is creating the poverty and the chaos, the drug wars, creating the violence and so on, that is driving so many people into poverty and misery in those countries, often leading to sex trafficking and families that are not capable of caring for their children, that are immersed in poverty and cannot provide their children with a decent life. So yes, we can deal with sex trafficking through enforcement. We can also deal with our role in creating the conditions that lead to this terrible thing in the first place.
I agree with Jill on that
Any
point.
expansions or rebuttals?
Rebuttal, if I could.
Please.
Right now, there are men and women sitting in federal prison for years whose crime was they did a peaceful sit-in at an abortion clinic of a man who kills babies up till the day of birth in Washington, D.C., Santangelo. He's a demonic baby killer. They're in prison. I have a friend whose kid is in the FBI. He said, we have FBI agents that were pulled off of sex trafficking cases and child pornography cases and put on task force to go after peaceful pro-lifers because of this godless Democrat Party.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got people in the Democrat Party right now, even as we talk, that are trying to reduce the age of consensual sex so that pedophilia, another crime against children, is legal. Oh, it's just a choice that they want to make. We are witnessing a war on children, and the fountainhead of that war on children is the Democrat Party. And therefore, I say, the Democrat Party must be destroyed.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree.
Any other expansions, rebuttals? All right. Next question, Mr. Massey.
Our next question comes from Joe Schlusselberg from Miami, Florida. He writes, and I quote, "The overbearing response to COVID by the local and federal government was one of the biggest violations of human rights I've witnessed in my lifetime. In addition to state-sponsored propaganda and collusion with big pharma and media companies. What are your plans for investigating the handling of COVID, and how will you create accountability for those involved?" Chase, good first.
So first and foremost, if I'm elected president, I'm going to appoint a special counsel from the Department of Justice to investigate everything that has gone wrong, to basically punish the wrongdoers, to find those who committed force or fraud or coercion, and punish those people. Because free people should be able to make their own medical decisions. We don't need a state apparatus telling us what to do or trying to lock us down or control us. It was one of the greatest violations of liberty in our life. We saw millions of businesses affected by arbitrary lockdowns that didn't stop the disease. We saw, the attempt of OSHA to mandate behavior that individual business owners and property owners should be able to determine for themselves, and frankly, individuals should be able to determine for themselves. And so the first thing we have to do is insist upon getting our government back under control and no longer allowing them to control these levers of power that basically force these things upon us. So in addition to a special counsel, I would also like to see removal of liability for all vaccine manufacturers, all pharma, because if you're harming somebody, you should be able to take them to court and seek recompense for that. And I think shielding companies from liability is tantamount to basically being bribed by those companies to be peddled for influence. So I don't want to see that stuff. What I would like to see is not only for the executive department or the executive branch rather to be investigating this via special counsel, but we truly need a real with teeth COVID, a COVID committee in Congress to actually investigate these things. I would encourage Thomas Massie to sit on that committee. But that's what we really need, is we really need our representatives in government to actually expose what went wrong, expose the wrongdoings from government, expose the fraud, expose the abuse, and bring it to light, because sunlight is the best disinfectant, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what I want to see is a country where we're able to make our own healthcare decisions from ourselves, where we fully remove the healthcare from the state, where we are able to decide for ourselves what treatments we want to take, what injections we want to have, what therapies we want to undergo. And if you think it's a good idea, you shouldn't need the government to back that up, because good ideas don't require force. Thank you.
Good job. Good job. Dr. Jill Stein.
So I would especially like to see a special commission to investigate the potential lab leak as the origin of COVID, because very serious questions have emerged in the Lancet Commission, which did investigate this with Dr. Jeffrey Sachs, and came up with some very disturbing information. And still, the records are not released. Still, we do not have the information. It doesn't require going over to Wuhan, although that could be part of it. But there are records right here that could go a long way to clarify exactly how did this virus originate. And it's important not only to know what happened.
Okay, but pause. You see, when Trump was talking about this and he was leaking that information, he was telling the public about it. Everybody called him racist. They shamed him for that. They dragged him through the mud when Trump was talking about this and revealing it in real time. So now that they're talking about it later, I'm like, okay, yeah, good. I agree with that. But I mean, Trump was already on it, and he was already letting us know that a mandate is not a law. He never wanted to mandate it in the beginning. The whole Operation Warp Speed, and that's why I want to talk about that next week in my next episode, because it bothers me. It really does. Just like, you see, that's where I can see where I agree with Chase and the libertarianism would come out, because the government should never tell you what to do with your body with the vaccines when it comes to that. That should never, ever have happened. They treaded on us. They really trampled all over our rights when they made people feel as if they had to take it or else they would lose their job or couldn't go to school. And so I'm going to do that next week with all the Anthony Fauci Congress hearings. So you could hear it for yourself. You could see it for yourself. But the whole operation, I totally disagree with it, even though I know Trump had to do it for the health of whatever, for the whole country. Whatever. Doomed if he did, doomed if he didn't. But like, come on now. Trump was telling us these things about the whole Wuhan Lang. He called it the China virus. And they were clowning him for it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I already know this,
Happened, but also to know what's coming. Because if the U.S. is sponsoring this change of function research, this is potentially extremely dangerous going forward. We used to call that bioterror labs when we were fighting them in our communities, going some years back in Boston. So we absolutely need to know what went on there. In my view, we also need not only to get big pharma out of the FDA and the CDC, we also need to get Boeing out of the FAA, and we need to get Monsanto out of the FDA, and the Sackler family also out.
Good.
So this is a generic problem, unfortunately, that goes way beyond COVID. To the opioid epidemic, for example, where the Sackler family bought influence, got the permissions that they wanted for fentanyl and for opioids, and we now have 100,000 deaths per year from addictions to opioids. So this is a generic problem related to the power of money in all of our governmental institutions. And that is why, in my view, I agree with Randall on this. We need to get the big money out. We need to get big money out of our government and get the people back in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My only brother died of a fentanyl overdose 2 years ago. It's hell, what we have going on in this country, or it's at least a foretaste of hell. Earlier, I made a comment about executing people publicly. One of the purposes of punishment, whatever that punishment is to deter others. If there's not punishment brought to bear on the guilty parties of this COVID lockdown and the fake vaccines, hiding people dying, telling them we can't have ivermectin. I was sick with COVID. I was really sick. And my doctor prescribed prescribed ivermectin. And within 24 hours, I was feeling better. 48 hours, bang, I'm out of bed. And I went on my TV show, told people, I took ivermectin and I feel great. YouTube said, you've got a strike against you, 2 more like that, and we're canceling your show.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I can't talk about this?
Exactly.
Is this America? No, because corporate people are getting corporate money. And at this point, in my opinion, and it is somewhat studied.
And they cut my stream last time on Vern's channel. Canada can't talk about these things.
I mean, literally, we're dealing with organized crime. I want to know what Fauci knew, when he knew it, how much money he got, who did he get it from, and then if he's guilty of a crime, throw his ass in jail, let it rot there until he dies.
Yes.
I mean, every syllable. He is in my opinion, he is an enemy of freedom. He's but again, you know, people can blame President Trump. He was listening to people he shouldn't have listened to. He reads footnotes way too much. All right. We know this. But it was when Biden came in and the Democrat Party said, man, we have got this thing. We are going to take away rights. We are going to do what we want to do. We are going to manipulate people. We're going to force people. We're going to force soldiers. We're going to shut down businesses. We are going to control people.
And that was the Democrats.
Through the COVID crisis. And hello, that is why the Democrat Party must be destroyed.
That's time.
Yes, I totally agree.
Would you like a rebuttal?
Yes, I want to use this rebuttal real quick just to tell a story about the arbitrary and damaging nature of these lockdowns. I had a friend of mine who ran a flower shop. It was her life stream to run a flower shop. She loved flowers. She could name every flower out of the book. And her business was closed down during COVID because it was deemed unessential. Now, what was not closed down was the Lowe's Garden Center down the street because Lowe's sold essential items. And so that business got to stay open. That business was somehow shielded from COVID. No one could catch it in Lowe's, but only in the flower shop.
A corporation.
My friend's flower shop went under. It didn't survive. And where's my friend work now? At the Garden Center at Lowe's. She works for the big man now because they were allowed to stay open. They were allowed to keep their businesses going. That's the arbitrary nature of these stupid lockdowns. As far as Anthony Fauci, I'm going to say I've been distrustful of Anthony Fauci because of the ACT UP movements in the late 80s and early 90s. He's been a scumbag my entire life, well before COVID. And the last thing I want to say is Dr. Stein said we need to get Big Pharma out of the FDA. We need to get the FDA out of our government. We do not need an FDA.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't agree with that. I think we need the FDA. But
any other rebuttals?
No.
Jill Stein is the only one who has a rebuttal. Final rebuttal.
This is my final. Okay. Let's see. I think it was Randall. You were talking. Which of you? I don't remember. But you were talking about how it's not okay. You almost lost your show, your TV show, because you couldn't talk about COVID. And this is kind of like a general theme right now that we can't talk about things. And you're getting shut down for all kinds of stuff. If you're on a campus and you want to talk about genocide, you're going to get your head bashed in, and you're going to get blacklisted, and you're going to get doxxed, and you are going to be thrown out of the university. We have this extremely anti-First Amendment environment right now where our rights of free speech are being shut down, the right of media and reporters to cover issues. Kim Iverson was fired for critiquing COVID on the Hill. Brianna Joy Gray was also fired from the Hill for critiquing Israel and Zionism on the Hill. We need to be able to debate this stuff. Whether you agree with it or not doesn't matter. It's really important for us to discuss it.
We have one more question before we're going to begin this speed round. And I believe all the rebuttals have been exhausted. So you'll have 2 minutes each for this one. And it's a very simple question. Do you support ending the Federal Reserve? Dr. Jill Stein.
Who's going first?
Yeah, who's
Sorry,
first?
Dr. Jill
Is that
Stein.
mine? Yeah, this is yes, no?
You have 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. I absolutely support ending the Federal Reserve as we know it.
Well, if you want to elaborate, you have more time. Maybe you want to end there.
I'll stop there for now. I mean, the Federal Reserve, I'll say a few things. The Federal Reserve is serving
Come on, Jill.
Private banks and makes decisions on their own behalf. And this
Flop
does
a
not
little
serve
bit.
the American public. I think there is a role for a public interest authority, but not for private banks to have a special power to make regulatory decisions on their own behalf. And I think that applies across the board to all regulatory agencies. You should not have foxes guarding the chicken coop, and that is what's happening with the Federal Reserve. I'll leave it at that.
Okay,
Thank
nice
you, Dr.
answer.
Would
Randell
you
Terry.
explain where we are in the process right now?
This is our final question where you have 2 minutes to respond. After this, we will have a speed round with 1 minute responses, but you have 2 minutes to respond to the question. Do you support ending the Federal Reserve?
Yes, absolutely. I support. Yes, yes, and then yes again. Yes. So sometimes I feel like I don't want to preach to the choir. We're in a room full of people who knows that we need to get rid of the Federal Reserve, period. I mean, so we do. I would rather use my 2 minutes to talk about anything, but something that we all agree on right now. So can I do that, or do I? What
It's your
the
2
riff, man?
minutes.
It's my 2 minutes.
You have 1 minute and 30 seconds left.
All right. My name is Inigo Montoya. 20 years ago, you killed my father. Prepare to die.
What?
Jesus said,
This guy is hilarious.
he who harms a child, anyone who harms a child, it would be better for that person to have a millstone tied around their neck and drowned in the sea. Peaceful, loving Jesus said those words. Anyone who harms a child, it would be better for them if a millstone was tied around their necks and drowned in the sea. Now, if you look at the abuse of children that is happening across the board, intellectual abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, killing them by abortion, making drugs appear glamorous. This comes in our culture at a time when we are literally turning our backs on the Almighty, His rules, and we're making this stuff up as we go. Because if there is no God, then anything goes, literally anything goes. All you have at that point is preference. So I'm here to say to you something simple tonight, just kind of arm people who are thinkers and talkers. You can't improve on Moses and Jesus. You cannot improve on Moses and Jesus. Anyone who thinks that they can improve on the 10 Commandments and the Gospels, they are a fool, and you need to run from them. And oh, by the way, one other thing, the Democrat Party must be destroyed.
Thank you. That's your time. And I want to remind our participants tonight, this is Freedom Fest. You may use your time in any way that you desire.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thank you, Congressman.
But the original question is, do you support ending the Federal Reserve? Chase?
Yeah, the answer is hell yes, I do. And that's because I'm a libertarian and we've been fighting to end the Federal Reserve for 50 years. That's why the Libertarian Party was formed, is because Nixon took us off the gold standard, started this whole fiat currency nightmare that we're currently existing in.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I want to get rid of the Fed. Why? Because the Fed benefits the big banks at the expense of you. They are given money that's created by the Treasury that's loaned out at a rate of interest to you. You're not getting the money, the banks are getting the money. That's the problem we have. But we have a problem with the fiat currency that allows the government just to print money willy-nilly and devalue our money. Get it back to a gold standard. Get back to where our money is backed by something. Get back to where our money is actually worth something, and quit having government print trillions of dollars to do it. So yes, completely end the Fed. End the Fed today, end the Fed tomorrow, end the Fed every day and twice on Sundays. But I also want to talk about the insidious tools that the Fed are trying to use right now to remove cash from our society, namely the CBDC, central bank digital currency. It should be opposed by every single person in this hall with every fiber of our being,
Exactly,
because it's going to remove the
Thrifty.
ability for us to privately transact with one another, to privately move our money around as we wish, because the government will know every single purchase you make under a CBDC, and that is how we get to the social credit score nightmare that we don't want to be living in. Now, I feel like, as Randall said, I feel like this is a very friendly room that does not like the Fed, and I feel like I want to quote the great philosopher Stone Cold Steve Austin when I say, if you want to end the Fed, give me a hell yeah. That's
Hell
right.
yeah.
Hell
Thank you
yeah.
very much.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Randall, we're going into the lightning round. So it's 1 minute response to this question. Would you bypass Congress to avoid formally declaring war?
I cannot hear you.
What was that?
Would you bypass Congress to avoid formally declaring war?
If I was the president, there's times where you have to move quickly. So I believe that Congress needs to declare war, but the president, as the commander in chief, if he needs to move people in the night to deal with something, then he has to do it. So there you have it. I don't think it's hard and fast.
That's the first disagreement I have with Randall.
I would like to see Congress declare any war to which we enter ourselves into. Now, Randall says you're right. We are allowed to protect ourselves from some sort of invasion or something that happens suddenly. But when it comes to us actually attacking someone else, none of that needs to be bypassing Congress. Congress needs to declare when we send our people to war, because that is what the Constitution demands that they be doing. And so anything outside of that is an undeclared war, and in my opinion, unconstitutional war. And so we haven't fought a constitutional war, not even in my lifetime, but not since World War II have we had a formally declared war in this country. How many thousands of veterans are dead due to unconstitutional, undeclared wars? How many victims have been made through violence or displacement around the world due to undeclared wars from the United States? And how many military-industrial complex people are freaking filthy rich because of the undeclared wars in this country? That is a stain on our national heritage. That is a stain on our values and our principles, and it is a stain on the Constitution of the United States. No war should ever be fought without Congress declaring it.
Thank you, Jace. Jill.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both gentlemen here that the president does have the authority in an emergency situation to activate the armed forces for a limited period of time. I don't recall whether it's 4 weeks or
60
something.
days,
60 days. Okay. So yes, the president can do it, but I agree that we have gone so far in the direction of conducting illegal wars. It begs for resistance to going down that path further. We have conducted regime change operations in about 70 or 80 states nations since the Second World War. That's largely through the CIA, these covert operations that have toppled governments. Everything from the Mossadegh government in Iran, because we didn't want them using their oil for themselves. We wanted BP in the US to have access to that oil. So we overturned that government and installed the dictatorship of the Shah of Iran, who was an incredibly brutal and horrible dictator.
Jill's cooking tonight.
We avoid using that power.
She did okay in this one.
Thank you. Chase, do you support protecting presidents from prosecutions for potential crimes committed during their term?
Absolutely not. I think if I'm president of the United States, I should be undergoing the same criminal code as anybody else. That if I do something wrong, it doesn't matter whether I'm doing it in my official capacity or unofficial capacity. A crime is a crime is a crime. No one should be above the law. And when we have this presumed immunity for the executive branch, we are giving license to do so many terrible things and to say, well, that was in the auspices of my official capacity. I guess you're going to have to take me to court if you want to try to overturn that or change that. That's not the way we need to be operating in this country. I'm sorry. No president should be above the law, because you and I are not above the law. And we should extend that to not just government.
Right. Okay. So let's pause there, because Randall just took an L, and he's supposedly the Constitutionalist Party. And he just said that he would, if he was the president, that he would unofficially, I guess, go to war without the formal permission from Congress, which is in the Constitution. That's the first time that I disagree with Randall. And that's really important to point out, because you need to listen to people when they answer these questions, when they are talking in these conversations and debates. You need to listen very carefully to what they say. So that's the very first red flag. He would go to war if he needed to as president. I understand what he's trying to say. Like, oh, if you need to move people in the middle of the night, yeah. But you should exhaust every other alternative to war before even asking Congress, for the permission to formally go. Like, that's how I would view it. And as a constitutionalist, he really took an L right there. Chase, as a libertarian, called him out on it. And yeah, totally. I agree with Chase. Talking about the immunity question about the president, that is already a thing. I don't understand why this is being brought up again and again. I guess it's because of what happened with the Supreme Court. But guys, that is already a known thing. The president is not above the law. If there is a criminal act, they will get impeached, and then the president will have to resign. And that has happened in the past before. So I don't think that should be like a real issue. You just get impeached. And if you did do something illegal, you would have to resign or you do get fired. Okay, like there is a process for that. So just wanted to point that out.
Government officials, but also police through qualified immunity. We need to end these doctrines that allow people to get away with doing crimes because they didn't know it. I was taught as a kid that ignorance of the law, it doesn't mean you can violate the law. So why is it that a president can be ignorant of the law in their official capacity and all of a sudden suffer or have immunity? I think that's wrong.
Thank you.
They don't have immunity, though.
And it also allows the president to not be ignorant of the law.
There's specifics to that, which is why the Supreme Court struck that.
Law. This is not a monarchy. This is a democracy or a republic, but we are all accountable to the law. No one is above the law. And it's an invitation to fraud, to abuse, to theft, to whatever, to war crimes, to, the Supreme Court decision made a very fuzzy distinction between what are core functions of the presidency and what are not. But even if you just limited this ability to defy the law to even core functions, well, that's things like conducting war. And the president cannot conduct illegal wars, and be a war criminal. It's giving absolute license for the most terrible things.
This is the problem. What she said is the problem. This whole question is designed to completely undermine our republic and make it come unglued. So now, because the president is involved in declaring war or leading troops into battle, he could be a war criminal in another country. This is insanity, people. There are things that the president does in the official capacity of his duty that we will never know about. I mean, we want transparency, but if he has to, or if he chooses to authorize a military strike with cruise missiles like Bill Clinton did, and sometimes they hit the target and sometimes they miss it, and then the civilians are killed. Are we going to say that Bill Clinton should be brought up as a war criminal?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Then you know what? Let's do this. Let's go to the English model. Let's have the Queen of England, where we have a little puppet there who just once a year gives a little speech, and it's Parliament that has all of the power, and we don't have a strong executive office. If that's what you want to go for, then let's have that discussion. But that's not the system of government we have in America right now. He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
No, absolutely
And the
not.
Democrat Party has to be destroyed.
Okay, Chase took a minor L right there by agreeing with that.
All right, we'll start with Jill here. With the recent release of Julian Assange, do you support pardoning Julian Assange, Ross Ulbricht, Edward Snowden, and Leonard Peltier?
Yes, absolutely. And
yes.
I would say to Julian Assange and to Edward Snowden that there is a place for you in our White House. So come and join our cabinet. We need you. You are a hero. You are not a criminal. You are a hero. And you should be compensated for the wrongdoing to you and your family. You should be compensated for time spent that was absolutely not
Mr. M, you're hilarious. It's a journey,
Yeah. Randall.
I have spent my entire adult life speaking truth to power with every fiber of my being. And I count these people. Now, there's two of the names that I don't remember the crimes that they're accused of, but obviously Assange and Snowden, I would say, are you kidding me? Total pardons. Thank God that they did what they did. so that we know what
Right.
the heck is going on in our government.
Exactly.
We don't know how many other lies we're being told. We don't know how many other criminal acts are being perpetrated against us. One of the major military manufacturers recently pled guilty. I think it was Boeing, about hiding details about that aircraft. They pled guilty to 2 felonies and they paid a big fine. Okay,
Yep.
who went to jail?
Nobody.
Who was prosecuted? You know, a corporation doesn't have a butt to kick or a
Nobody.
soul to damn. And that's part of the problem, that we need people that are held accountable for these crimes that we're facing.
Yeah.
And I thank God.
George
literally, I
W.
thank
Bush
God. I
is
thought you were
also a
gonna say,
criminal.
I want to tell Snowden there's a place
Obama,
in
yeah,
heaven
there
for
are
him.
all war criminals.
No, it was a place in the White House. But yes, I would pardon them
Thank you.
after I was done destroying the Democrat Party.
Chase.
So not only would I pardon Ross Snowden, Julian Assange, Ross Ulbricht, Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, and Leonard Peltier. That's actually part of my campaign website. It's something that I've been promising for 2 years as a candidate for president.
Wow. Good,
Why?
Chase.
Because these
W.
men did nothing wrong. Leonard Peltier fought for Native American rights. He fought for Native American sovereignty, and he should be celebrated for it. Ross Ulbricht created a website that you can buy drugs off of and was prosecuted and sent to multiple life sentences for that. Well, guess what? I can go on Meta right now on X and buy drugs if I want to, but I don't see Zuckerberg thrown in jail. I don't see Elon Musk in jail. They made an example out of Ross Ulbricht because they
those
want
are
to
some
punish
names
truth
that I'm
tellers
going to
and
have
those
to
fighting for
research and
freedom.
look up.
And speaking of truth tellers,
But I do know about Snowden,
Julian
and that's not
Assange and Edward Snowden. Those men exposed the war crimes that our country perpetrated. They are heroes in my eyes. They should not be criminals. And frankly, if I were president of the United States, both those men would be getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom, because it's about time somebody who deserves it get that honor.
Right.
Congress has given broad authority to the president to issue sanctions. Do you support the use of sanctions as a tool of diplomacy, and under what circumstances? Randell Terry.
Yes, I support the use of sanctions because it would be better than shooting. If we can use the dollar to leverage something. But again, my problem is human rights. So we've got Iran that we're using sanctions against. They're the devil. We've got Saudi Arabia that's our partner. They're Beelzebub. I mean, literally, if you look at the oppression of human rights in Saudi Arabia, it's probably worse than Iran. So I feel sometimes like I'm riding on the good ship Lollipop, and I can't quite figure out who the good guys are and the bad guys are when it comes to foreign policy, which is why I keep coming back to saying our foreign policy needs to be based on human rights, not deep water ports, not oil, not so-called American interests that are economic. And if we can use sanctions, economic sanctions, in the pursuit of human rights, I'm all in favor of it. If it's to twist their arms so that they'll teach that homosexuality and giving condoms to kids is a great thing, like a country in Africa, then no, I'm not in favor of it.
Thank you. Chase?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of sanctions, and here's why. When we sanction a government, that doesn't really hurt the big people. That doesn't hurt the money movers and the influencers. That hurts the average person. When we sanction Russia, Vladimir Putin did not suffer. Trust me, he still has plenty of wealth and influence in this country. The people who suffer from those sanctions are the individuals in Russia, those who cannot no longer get along because their economic picture has been crushed by our sanctions.
Yeah.
So no, I don't view that as a moral tool for foreign policy. We should be engaging.
And I think they were banned to the Olympics too. So
why? Because when we trade,
not even the athletes were able to get gold.
It wasn't just Ronald Reagan that tore down the Berlin Wall. It was Wrangler jeans that did that because people wanted to import American influence and American products. That is what will tear down oppression: is true market cooperation and trade. Because for China, for instance, they can keep pumping up their currency and try to blow up their bubble, but eventually that bubble will burst. And when it does, the people will be crying out for liberalism, for freedom, and for the ability for free markets to make those decisions, and not the Politburo of the CCP.
Nice, Chase. I like that guy.
The U.S. currently has sanctions against something like 1/3 of the world's population. And this is not a good thing for our image and for our respect in the world. We are bringing great misery and hardship to so many people. It's tens of thousands, I believe, that have been documented in Venezuela who were killed largely due to starvation with the sanctions against Venezuela. And you can look at Cuba and how that country has just been decimated for decades due to the sanctions. I think there are very unusual circumstances. Sanctions were used against South Africa and were helpful ultimately in overturning the apartheid state in South Africa. And likewise now, there's a call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions in Israel because there is a massive genocide. 500,000 people are at risk for starvation this month alone, and these are largely women and children. I don't know how anyone can conscience that. And this is, again, another situation where we should do what we can. Israel has the atom bomb, and they're not going to go lightly into this.
Thank you. I think we're at the last, this will be the last question.
Yes, it is. Thank you. The last question here, we're going to go with Chase. And the question is, according to the Department of Energy, the U.S. military alone emits more pollution
Agreed with that as
than
well,
some
Martin.
nations.
But I do agree
Would
with what
you
you're saying about
support
the
stricter
sanctions. They hurt
environmental
the poor.
regulations to hold polluters accountable? Chase.
No, what I think we need to see, first off, if we want to reduce the amount of carbon output that the United States military is doing, we need to stop having them bomb and kill people all over the world and engage in wars around the world. That would, of course, reduce some of the carbon. But I don't think that government central planners or a Green New Deal or a bureaucracy is what's going to fix this. It's going to be the power of human innovation. It's going to be the power of free markets and somebody coming up with a market incentive to clean up our air, clean up our water, and get rid of carbon. And if we remove that profit incentive, if we put the incentives all in the realm of government, that is going to slow that innovation. And so I would like to see a cleaner world. I would like to combat carbon in the atmosphere. I just know that government is like the worst vehicle to do that, that there are much better ways to have that done. And I would trust the power of the free market, the power of innovators, and the power of individuals who want to see a cleaner world for them to live in to actually be the motivator
exactly
for
what a
that,
libertarian
and
would
not government
say.
taxpayer dollars being taken to pick winners and losers. Thank you.
Jill.
So, I absolutely agree that government regulation is vulnerable. It's fraught, and it needs to be transparent. It needs to be watchdogged. It needs to be exercised at the community level to the greatest extent possible, and it needs to be exposed and debated constantly. But on the other hand, we have not yet found a way to deal with certain problems that are so large that we cannot deal with them individually or on the community level. If you look at something like ozone, we did get a handle on ozone. We did fix that problem. We have not gotten a handle on the fossil fuel problem. And what we're seeing outside now is what you will get, and it will keep getting worse. The Colorado River is about to dry out. You think we got inflation now? Just wait until our food system shuts down. Half the fruits and vegetables are about to go down here in this country. We have to get serious about eliminating fossil fuels at all levels of society.
Thank you. Randall.
Over time, I've grown to resent the notion that the United States of America is the villain in the world over over fuels, over oil. Look at China, look at India, and they scoff at us. They are laughing because they are polluting the air and they don't care.
Agreed.
And they love to see us strangle our own economy. Who do you think was clapping when Biden shut down drilling and shut down the pipeline? It was our enemies that were clapping. They know what the devastation that brings to us. But I want to go one step further. Everybody in this room wants clean air. Everyone wants clean water. No one wants dirty air and dirty water. But I find a level of hypocrisy in a lot of the parties and a lot of people who want a green and beautiful world. Do not pollute the land in which you live, for bloodshed pollutes the land. Shed no innocent blood in the land, for blood pollutes the land. Again, the chaos that we're going through as a country is because we are shedding innocent blood,
Randall.
and it is polluting the land.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that ends our questions, and we're going to go into closing statements. So let's close with those as predetermined by random draw. We are going to start with Mr. Terry. You have 2 minutes.
It has been an absolute privilege to be with you tonight, and I want to invite anybody and everyone in this room, and those of you who are watching on television, go to our website, terry2024.com, terry2024.com. My mission is simple: defend children, defeat the Democrat nominee, and to destroy the Democrat Party. How do we destroy the Democrat Party? The largest single voting bloc inside the Democrat Party is Roman Catholics. The second largest voting bloc is African Americans. Both of these communities say that they are pro-life. They want to protect children. And yet, because of momentum over historic connections, we have people that know better that are voting for Democrats. The purpose of our campaign is to run television ads because we are a federal campaign. We can run ads inside the 60-day window that say, this is what you're voting for if you vote for the Democrat nominee. This is what the Democrat Party stands for. The abuse of children, the killing of children, the molestation, the mutilation of children. The Democrat Party is literally in league with hell. It is a fortress of evil. It is a fountain of malice against children, and it must be destroyed. Now, the Whig Party's gone, Southern Democrat Party's gone, the Dixiecrats are gone. Maybe it'll take 3 years, maybe it'll take 30 years, but we have to set our sights on the Bismarck and be that two-wing biplane, right? Or David and Goliath. Let's be the stone and let the Democrat Party be Goliath, and let's bring it down. And then when we're auctioning off their computers and their tables and their buildings, let's use some of that money for reparations to the Black community who are the victims of Black genocide because of Democrat policy. Say it with me. The Democrat Party must be destroyed. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Chase.
So I want to thank Free and Equal for hosting this debate because unlike CNN or ABC, they actually invite all of the candidates to participate. I want to thank Freedom Fest for being a gathering of people who care about markets and who care about human innovation and the ability for us to do better things than what our government thinks we can do.
Right.
I'm a libertarian because I know deep down that there are so many things that we can do so much better if we remove government from the process. That government is inefficient, government is violent, and government is terrible. And in so many areas of our economy, human flourishing could be so much more quickly achieved if we got government out of the way. So I'm running for office because I want to put the ideas out there of limited government, of individual human rights, and the fact that we can organize ourselves free from government influence and the monopoly of force that government provides, and do a better job of it. Now, I want to say this. One thing we libertarians get slandered with all the time is that we don't care. Oh, you're selfish, you're individualistic. You only care about yourself and your rights. Well, we need to flip that around and understand that the message of liberty, the concept of human liberty, is actually an empathic message. It's one that says you can control your life. You can make those decisions. You know what's best for you, not me, and certainly not some unelected board of bureaucrats in Washington.
Right, you have the power.
That is a powerful message that so many Americans need to hear right now because they are being indoctrinated from both the left and the right that the government must be the solution for them. The government is not the solution. We are the solution. Our individual communities are the solution, and our God-given human rights are the solution.
Yes.
And so I'm running for office to challenge the two-party system, to tear it down brick by building up an independent party that's independent of the two-party system piece by piece. That's what I want to do. I want Americans to know they are not limited with two terrible, old, broken choices. We do not have to listen to politicians of the 20th century to find solutions for the 21st. And that's why I'm running for office. My name is Chase Oliver. I'm the Libertarian candidate. Go to votechaseoliver.com and tear the system down brick by brick, and let's set the world free in our lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you, Chase.
Woo! That was awesome. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Dr. Jill Stein, please.
So this is definitely an historic moment, and we're seeing crises that we have never seen before. Between the endless wars, the genocide abroad, the crushing inequality in this country, which gets greater by the day, climate collapse, and the assault on democracy in so many ways. In virtually every dimension of our lives, people are facing crisis. And the need for deep systemic change has never been so urgent, and the possibility of that change has never loomed so large because people are not going to sit here and take it. People are done being thrown under the bus by bought politicians and wealthy elites. People are done with the war profiteers and Wall Street and AIPAC and health insurance and big pharma and fossil fuel giants and more who are making out like bandits. While 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, Half of renters are struggling to keep a roof over their heads. Homelessness is at a record high. Countless millions are locked in student debt and medical debt. Half of youth are hopeless about the future, and a lot of that is because of the climate. 1/4 of youth have considered harming themselves within 2 weeks of the poll. We are not in a good way, folks. And meanwhile, both parties are squandering trillions on the endless war machine. Martin Luther King's words still ring true. My country is the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today. Yet we are squandering billions funding and arming Israel's genocide in Gaza. Likewise, billions of our tax dollars are adding fuel to the fire in the unwinnable, tragic proxy war in Ukraine that could have been avoided altogether or rapidly resolved had the US not interfered. War goes hand in hand. The war abroad goes hand in hand with the war at home and the war on democracy. They need to be solved together because they are joined at the hip. We need to stand up and demand that we have a world that's working for all of us on all of those counts. Go to jillstein.org, jillstein2024.org.
Thank you, Jill, so much. What a diverse group of individuals and ideas.
All right. So we have Lucy on the stage. What are your thoughts, Lucy?
Yeah, Ruby, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your platform and sharing some political literacy with your group. I really appreciate it. What are your initial thoughts?
Are you the same Lucy who posted it
Yes.
on Discord?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank God you did that, because as soon as you posted it, I watched it right there and then, and that was the first time I saw it. I've seen it. This is my 5th time watching it. That's how much I love it. It's because I didn't even know they existed. I've been waiting like my entire since I woke up from politics, my entire
right.
life. And I'm like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. That's why I said earlier that if I would have known, and if my state didn't have closed primaries, I would change my registration today after watching that. Like, that's how powerful it is, because I love Chase Oliver and I love Randall Terry. Amazing.
Yeah.
Hi, Tad.
Hey, Tad.
Hi, Libby.
How are you?
Yeah, really good, really good. My opinion, this may not be relevant, but it's just my humble opinion. As you know, 2 atomic bombs were dropped on Japan, but in today's Japan, there are not even 1% of people who want to drop atomic bombs on America to get revenge, because they know that there is no point in doing so. My opinion is just peace, just peace. My opinion is just peace, just an opinion. Thank you. Bye.
Wow, thanks, Tad, for joining us. And I totally agree with that. And you see, that's why I love talking to people like internationally, because they view America from the outside. And I totally get that. That's why I'm so like anti-war, because somebody like Tad from Japan is gonna be like, guys, what are you guys actually talking about? World War III? What? Is because they've actually like, dealt with it. People have died, like lineages of families have been eradicated from the earth because of something that America did, or something that this country did, or because of America's involvement in this. And I feel so bad, but that's why I'm so like anti-war.
Right. I agree with you 100%. And just to expand a little bit on what Tad was so eloquently explained for us, is that he lives in a country that experienced U.S. aggression during, maybe possibly during his lifetime, but at least during his parents' lifetime. And that is and he's still willing to talk to us and be friends with us, and that's powerful, right? That speaks to the power of the human spirit and our resilience to stand up for each other. And as much as there have been many different opinions on this panel, there's been different opinions spoken on that debate stage, but as long as we're willing to listen to each other, that's the kind of world that I would like to live in, right? And that's the world that I would like to foster for all of us, right? To be able to have the ability to say our opinion, because my opinion might have some errors because I don't have all the facts, right? And the only way that I can get those facts is by talking to other people in my community and trying to seek those out. So I really appreciate you sharing this debate with everyone. It's called the Free and Equal debate, and it happened about 3 weeks ago in Las Vegas. There will be one more, and if anyone wants, I hope you the link the debate in the notes for this channel.
Yes.
People will be able to also find the fourth and final debate that's going to happen in September. So that will be exciting to watch as well.
Right. Yes. The link for the one that we just saw is in the description. So subscribe to them and then we'll be able to see the next. If they do have the next debates, maybe I'll just watch it live at the same time that they're live. I'll go live as well so that we can have commentary at the exact same time. But exactly right. What you said, Lucy, is the power and the freedom of speech. That's exactly what that means. Freedom of speech is to discuss all of those ideas: Green Party, Libertarian, Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, Constitutionalist Party. That is the byproduct of having freedom of speech. And that's why it's so important to protect that. And if Linda wants to join, because I saw some of her comments, Apasta Babe, if you want to join, I did put the link in the chat. But since I'm streaming from two different channels, you probably didn't see my reply to your question because I did reply to the question. And she was talking more in terms of what Randall Terry was saying about destroying the Democratic Party. And I do agree.
Right. And
I do agree with him. And that is also a form of freedom of speech. After every question, he was saying the same phrase, and we have to destroy the Democratic Party. I
so
agree with him.
so can I offer a counter opinion to that?
Yeah.
I think that in order to achieve peace, we have to start with our speech. And in order to promote peace, we have to be willing to put ourselves in a space. Like I said, I want to be able to foster a community where people can have freeness of speech. Do we have the freeness of speech for hate speech? I mean, I don't want to know, I think you spoke, Ruby, earlier about you don't necessarily want to live in a community where people can dress in a way that would be offensive to yourself or your children. I
Mm-hmm.
don't I don't necessarily think that it's okay to wish death on people. I don't know how to say it any nicer than that. I think that we can say that the Democratic Party is fostering an environment where it's isn't healthy to have freeness of speech. I think that is a safe opinion to say, but whenever if I were to slip up and say something like, all Democrats, should go to jail, that would be not only would it would be hate speech, in my opinion. That would be hate speech if I said that, because I feel that people who are part of a political party because they feel like their party has the best ideas for a government. And it doesn't mean that, I really didn't agree with much of what Randall said. I think I only agreed with like one thing he said, but I still believe that he has the right to represent the people who would vote for him. You know what I mean? I don't think that he should be silenced. I think that he feels that his ideas are helpful. So I would like to tease those out. I would like to discuss the things that are important to him. It seems like he feels very drawn to saving children. Maybe that's something that we could align on, and then we could go from there. I really like having these open debates about stuff like that. And I hope Linda
Mhm.
is able to come on and chat with us.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But I think hate speech goes under freedom of speech, because you see how something in your opinion would be considered hate speech, but then to me it wouldn't be considered hate speech. And so that's why America is so unique in that First Amendment, is because in other countries like England, you can get arrested for posting something that they deem as hate speech or offensive or insulting. You could get arrested for that. So you really have to think
Right.
about, well, are you going to let freedom trump over the emotions or feelings of a minority group of people? I mean, I would say, yeah, I would say freedom of speech trumps anybody's offensive meter, because it shouldn't really matter how people feel. As long as you're able to say it, you should have the freedom to say it. And sure, you have the right to feel however you want to feel about it, if it's offensive or not. But the fact that they can say it and have that right protected by the Constitution, that's what makes us unique. Other places like in Australia, other countries that don't have the same freedom, they can't speak the way they want to. And you're not going to have a free country if you don't have freedom of speech. Like, and this discussion is literally is happening because people are getting arrested over a social media post.
Right.
This type of stream would not be possible if it wasn't for freedom of speech. Just like they said, we can't talk about COVID, we can't talk about certain things because of they are censoring our speech. So you see, that is the government treading on our rights. And that's why I agree with Chase Oliver about being anti-government. And that's where my libertarianism would jump in and say, yeah, the government shouldn't tell us what is hate speech or what is not any kind of speech. Speech should be free no matter what it is. It could be a curse word, it could be a slur, it can be an insensitive joke, it can be anything, because that is what is going to move us forward. If we start censoring speech or jokes, or saying that you don't have a right to speak but this person does, based on the education level or based on race or based on anything, any meter, you shouldn't gauge freedom of speech. So that's my opinion. And I think that's what Linda is also getting at. She says, don't you think that rhetoric is going to be like separating people? It's the us versus them, by saying, oh, the Democratic Party should be destroyed. I would agree with that. I mean, yeah, I would say it is us versus them. But how did we get here? And that's why I do blame the government. I do blame the Democratic Party. And I blame Republicans as well for not having a backbone and pushing against the Democrats when the COVID stuff happened. Because 4 years ago, they allowed this to happen. 10 years ago, they allowed something else to happen. And you see that that's what the uniparty is. They allow these
Right.
things to happen because behind closed doors, they agree with each other. They don't care about us and our
Can I
rights.
jump can I jump
Yeah.
in before we move on
Yes.
to another? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that I agree with you on that there shouldn't be any punishments, or the reasons why there are laws in some countries against hate speech, and very powerful laws against or punishments, I'm sorry, punishments against hate speech, is because the people in those countries decided that the consequences of hate speech is too great of a consequence to pay for their community. In other words, when you incite a group of people to hate another group of people, it could turn into a life and death situation. And so some countries have decided that the consequences of hate speech is too dangerous to gamble with. So they've made it punishable by certain laws to have that. In the US, um, it, the people here have decided that radical independence is more important than protecting human lives. And that's the world that we live in, right? That's reality. We can go on the street corner and incite a riot and cause mayhem and hurt people and burn down buildings, and the person who started it won't be prosecuted. That's the world that we live in. I didn't build it. I don't like that that is a thing, but the alternative is a police state, and that's not a thing that I want either, right? So is there a happy balance? Is there something in the middle? I don't know. I think that we need to talk these things through and really state, do we want to look like Australia? Australia had a mass shooting in the late 80s, early 90s, and they decided that they were going to institute a buyback, and
Mm-hmm.
the community rallied, and the community was happy for that, and it worked because the community wanted it, not because the government forced it. If that happened here in the US, it wouldn't be successful because there's not enough support for something like that. So
But it is
we have
protected by the Constitution, though. See, that's the difference. They don't have a Constitution like us. So they don't have the Constitution protecting their right to bear arms, but we do. So even if the majority of the community did agree with it and said, yes, let's take away guns, the Supreme Court would strike it down because the Constitution protects it. So and just like you said before about if somebody incites a riot and hurts people, they wouldn't be prosecuted. Well, where? Because I would disagree with that and counter with, yes, the justice system does work. You would get arrested for inciting a riot and burning buildings down. I think what we saw in 2020 with the Black Lives Matter stuff, people didn't get prosecuted until later, and they didn't put it on the news, but they certainly did get the consequences for what they did. Because once again, you need a permit to protest, and I'm still iffy like on stuff like that because I'm like anti-Fed, so I don't agree that you should get like a permit for certain things. My libertarianism would come out in that as well. But you do have the right to protest. You do have the right, but you don't have the right to destroy your community and burn stuff down. So I do agree with you on that. Hi, Linda.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Hi, it's good to be here. Thank you for welcoming me. So yeah, I was in the chat, so if you did reply to me, I missed it, and it does make sense that you're replying in different places. So you have confirmed that you agree with Democrats should be destroyed. Is that what I understand?
Okay, yeah, that was your original question. Okay, so in the comment section, yeah, I said that the party should, yes, because at this point, it is my opinion that they have been infiltrated by the radical left. Because I do agree with you, there are center to moderate Democrats who don't agree with the radicalism, but that's why I said in my comment that I believe it would have to take 2 or more generations for that to wean itself out, and then the Democrats can come back to how they used to be, like back in the day Democrats, because I would consider myself a Democrat back in the day. But now I wouldn't be considered a Democrat, even though I would say, oh, some of my things are moderate. The Democrats would say, no, you're not. You're right wing. So they kind of just pushed people on the spectrum without them even knowing it. And then from there, when I woke up from politics, I kind of moved myself on the spectrum more right wing. But
Right.
it is my opinion that the party and what they stand for as today, it needs to change, and by that meaning like get rid of them until they come back to more like moderate stances.
And that I would welcome, your opinion on believing things should change within the full party. A statement that says Democrats should be destroyed, is just
Mhm.
devastating for me to hear you laughing about that. And because I identify, it's not my full identity, but it's just, wow, like really, like I just was looking up hate speech. Like you're right, there's a lot of things covered under hate speech. But
Mhm.
however, there are some
Did we lose
a
Linda?
statement that should be
Oh.
what?
I think we just lost you for like a glitch. Okay, say the last sentence one more time.
Read it and put it in the private chat. I'm talking about like when hate speech would be illegal, like which times it's not okay. Sure, you can say things that is covered by, free speech. I get that. So an example would be where hate speech is illegal includes true threats, knowingly causing someone to fear their safety, incitement to imminent lawlessness or lawless action, telling people to immediately commit a crime, those are considered fighting words. Words intended to provoke a violent reaction, defamation, knowingly false statements that harm someone's reputation. So, things that I hear in comments that have said, have implied that Democrats are groomers, demonized, all this stuff that's very hard to take day after day after day after day. And then hearing you say it, I just really wanted to get clarity that to me it sounds like it really sounds like they need to be taken out of existence. And that does sound like they should be killed. And that falls under the 8th thing with Robert J. Lifton, the 8 criteria to totalism. And that 8th one is called dispensation of existence, which usually is used to help people understand what shunning is, where it really means you don't even deserve to be alive. So that's kind of how I'm hearing. Well, actually, it's exactly how I'm hearing the statement of Democrats need to be destroyed. I'm actually receiving it like that. So I just kept asking, like, is this really your intention? Like, you really believe this? I'm just shocked. I'm shocked. You do believe that?
Well, no, that I'm glad that you came on because that's exactly what we should be doing is talking about these things. When Randell Terry said it, I was laughing because he actually said that on the stage. I was kind of shocked. But when I say you're right, but when I say I do agree with him, it's because what the Democrats stand for as of today, not you see this is what happens. During so many decades, I think that they've reached just like far left ideas and they've made it their main platform, unfortunately. So that's where people kind of like agree with that statement, like, oh, the Democrat Party are groomers, like you said. They do the pedophilia or whatever. They should be destroyed. Well, I wish that they would move away from that. And unfortunately they haven't. It's kind of like they want to die on that hill, unfortunately. And that can, and some things can be said the same of the Republican Party. Every party is gonna have their thing. And that's why I don't agree with any party. I don't think we should have we should just be the American Party, to be honest. All the parties should be done away with, and we should just
you had cut out. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you cut out for like a second or two, and then when I heard you coming back in, it was pedophilia, and then you said they. So I missed the statement you were saying about that.
Okay.
Can you say it again for me?
Okay, yeah, I think we're having like a little glitch, but I said like I was just agreeing with you that people say that they're groomers and that they have like tendencies to pedophilia and stuff like that, and then you said that that makes you feel sad, and I agree with you because unfortunately that's the hill that they're dying on. If the Democratic Party would really change their agenda and move away from that issue that they want to prop themselves to be like, oh, well, we support this, and it's like they support everybody until they don't, and at the end of the day they don't support nobody. Like I haven't seen for the past 4 years what the Democratic Party has done good for their voters or for America in general, to be honest. But then
Okay,
I said
that's
that.
understandable. But let me get clarity. Are you
Mhm.
claiming that you see the Democrats as promoting pedophilia, and that you would like them to move away from that? I mean, am
I
I hearing you
mean,
correctly? Because
well, I would.
I haven't met a Democrat yet. I can't say that no Democrat does that. I'm sure
Mhm.
there's pedophiles out there that claim to be
Mhm.
Democrats, but
Mhm.
I've never seen that as part of a Democratic um, statement or anything, agenda or anything like that. So I'm just wondering if that is the case,
Mhm.
you know, and if that is something you believe, where would
Well,
you have
that's the
gotten that
thing. That's the
from?
thing.
Where would you
I
have gotten
think
that
that's.
information from?
I know that. I mean, that's the thing, because what I see from what's coming out of the news, what's coming out of the media, the Democrats are not really promoting things that I thought the Democrats would. They are just either pandering to a group of people, or they just outright say, well, we agree with this, and it should be like for everybody, like inclusion for everybody.
Oh,
And
as
unfortunately,
an equal rights for all,
right,
like as
stuff
an
like what,
oh,
stuff like
okay.
that. Stuff like that. And then they include, when they include the LGBTQ, and I have already said this before, like I don't support those things, but even when they do include those things, they don't, it's like they don't say that, they don't say, well, this is wrong, but this is okay, like how they support gay marriage, but then they don't
Mm-hmm.
really say like pedophilia is wrong, or this government worker, or this, like I remember in California, the person who was like writing up a bill or something, he legalized for like consensual sex with a minor, at least. And the bill said that, well, they would have to be within 10 years of age, and I'm gonna have to do
10,
research.
10 years of age?
Yeah,
I'm
like they would
sorry.
have to be at least 10 years
Okay.
within the other person's age. So if somebody is like
I have
30,
not heard that at all. Okay, but go
yeah,
ahead.
exactly.
Somebody's 30.
Right. So for example, if somebody's 30, they would have to have consensual, like you would have to have consent within a 10-year age gap. So it was a bill to something to that effect that he proposed, and then it went through in California. And something like that would make somebody say, "Oh, well, what if somebody's 20 years old? Does it make it legal if a 10-year-old consents?" And so you see, that's where the lines are blurred, and the Democrat Party
Yes.
doesn't like remove themselves from that and say,
And
no, that's not
I
what.
would love to know what number that is. I would love to know what, SB, whatever that number is. I'd love to
Right,
find
right,
it and look at it because
right.
I've never heard of it. And by the way, so I've raised 3 kids, and
Mm-hmm,
my oldest daughter was dating somebody that was 2 years younger than her. So when she turned 18, he was still 16. And
mm-hmm,
we were at some event at a police station. So I went straight up to the officers and said, "Is this illegal? Is this considered, unethical?" And he said, "No, it's not." And they consider it okay because they're within a few years apart. But I never heard the 10 years at all, ever. And
right.
by the way, I don't think you know this, but I'm a lesbian. And being
Mm-hmm,
an ex-Jehovah's Witness and a lesbian is it was scarier for me to come out as a lesbian than it was
mm-hmm,
to leave the organization. And we all know how scary that is. But I didn't come out until I was like 41 because I had this huge crisis of conscience and thing like this. So that was, over 20 years ago. So it's not it's not a phase or anything. But so I have compassion for my LGBTQ community and especially my trans brothers and sisters. I know plenty of them, and I've had to ask questions because I'm not transgender, so I didn't understand some things. So I just would ask them,
mm-hmm,
and I'd educate myself on them. And
mm-hmm,
things that I hear, um, I'm not talking like in general. I'm just talking more specific.
mm-hmm.
That it's very challenging to be out and to, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to have sex with your animals nor your children. And this seems to be something that people think, like that's what a gay person wants to do. And that's just really, I have not met one yet that wants to do this. Okay. They're usually not that way. I'm
Right, but
just straight up.
that's
I've
why I
never
said
seen
the
that.
party. But that's why I
Yeah,
said the
but
party. Yes.
but since I've talked to you, I'm asking you specifically,
Mm-hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
generalizing the party. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
speaking you and me. What are your opinions? And I'm letting you know, like I'm trying not to be vague,
Mm-hmm.
because I was very specific. Like, really? I mean, do you believe this?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm meaning you, not does your conservative whole party believe this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wanting it to be less vague and be more about you and me instead of
Mm-hmm.
generalizing. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say all the parties should be destroyed, not just the Democratic Party. We should have like an American party. Like everybody goes vote for all of the candidates. You see how they only put 2 in the debates when there's like 7 people running for president, like Lucy said in the comments. That's what I want to see. We should see all 7 of them debating amongst each other. Why is it always the 2-party system? I want to break away from that, and I don't want labels anymore, because that kind of like scared me too. Like, oh, what am I going to register as? What do I call myself? And it's like you always have these awakenings, and then you realize, well, I don't want to be called this. I don't want to be labeled this. I just want to be free, And I think all of them should be destroyed, and that we should just have like a mandatory, anybody who wants to run for president has to debate each other on the stage. And then the voting should be a one day. It should be a federal holiday, so everybody's off from work and can vote that day. And there's no excuse, no work, no school. It should just be a federal holiday. Go and vote for the person who mirrors your values to the best of their ability, because not everybody's perfect. Not every party is perfect. You could have leanings. I agree with like saying, oh, I'm right wing, left wing. I'm okay with that. But the party system and how how people have said before in the chat, the corruption, how they lobby, how they have these companies pump millions of dollars for this one person, that should be all illegal as well. Like it should just be grassroots, Americans paying for whoever they want to support, and then you push that person to the White House, not these PACs and not these foreign lobbying and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's my honest
I hear
opinion.
what you're saying, and you know what I do agree with you on is the idea of having it be a holiday. The day that we go and vote, I would love that to be a holiday, to where it makes it much easier for all to be able to show up and vote. Unfortunately, the political parties, or however many there is, it's the way it is. Like we've shown up, yay, we get to vote. Us ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, yay, okay, let's do our homework and, kind of see which one better serves what our life is involved with, with our own morals and such, and go from there. So, like, I respect that you are conservative. I totally respect that. I don't want to say things that your existence should be terminated. I think that's a disrespect, and I think that's a hate speech. That's what I believe it falls under. I want to honor you as a fellow ex-Jehovah's Witness and be glad that, yay, we women get to vote. Like there was a time of suffrage when women had gone to jail. Like they were still property, so the men would keep the kids. Like the stuff that has gone before us just as women, so that today we can vote. I am like all about, let's go vote, girlfriend. Let's go vote. Your views being different than mine, I'm fine with that. I'm more than fine with that. And I celebrate the liberty that we get to have, that we don't have to think on the same dang page as we did when we were Jehovah's Witnesses and call that harmony. Remember that? We need to be in harmony and all believe the same thing. We don't have to do that today. But yeah, I find it hurtful to hear something that just statements like Democrats should, like they should all be destroyed. It does sound like as if we should be annihilated. Like that's terminology we used to see in the Watchtower and Awake. That's also terminology that this one guy used to say that had a little funny mustache above his, just below his nose, right about that width
Mhm.
of his nose. I used to hear
Mhm.
him say stuff like that. And it really separates us. And I'm hoping that we can still be, united in our joy, that if it's okay with our conscience, that we do get to vote, but I don't want to, I don't know. I don't know how to, I guess I've said what I've said. I don't want to be like, let's skip down together holding hands and all like, down the yellow brick road, let's go vote and be all dreamy and crap like that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not
Mhm.
really like that. But I
Mhm.
support you in your freedom. And I
Mhm.
think it's amazing that we do get to vote today.
Yes, thank you, Linda. Just wanted to ask Lucy, do you have any thoughts about the two-party system?
Well, the two-party system is definitely destroying our democracy for sure. Um, and I think you probably heard some of the language on the debate talking about our country is actually built as a republic. So we're actually supposed to have more power within the state at the state level, and then
Mhm.
it's supposed to be distributed a little bit more evenly. So we've got two senators in California representing millions and millions of people, while we have two senators in Rhode Island only representing 250,000 people. How is that fair? That's not representative democracy in any way, shape, or form. So what has happened is over time, our our people have just outgrown the original outline for the country. And I do believe that I hate
Mhm.
using this term, the founding fathers. I hate pulling that Trump card out, but I do believe that
Mhm.
the founding fathers believed that what they were starting was something that was supposed to be alive, and it was supposed to be used by the people who were living at the time that they were living it, and that the government
Mhm.
was supposed to work for the people, not the people being
Mhm.
slaves for the government. That's what I honestly believe. Now,
Mhm.
are we at that place now? No, I don't think so. I think there's been some really weird growing pains in the
Mhm.
first 250 years of this country's existence, and we built it on the backs of hurting other people, and we
Mhm.
still haven't healed from that yet. And we are really busy. We're Americans, just like children, are busy hurting each other instead of trying to help each other. So that's the state of affairs right now. Can we dig ourselves out of it in under 2 generations? I think that's what Ruby said earlier.
Mhm.
Woo, 2 generations. That's a long time. That could be, with the way that people are living longer nowadays, that could be more than 200 years down the road. That's a lot of cycles. I would hope that we can at least dismantle or break up the two bigger parties into maybe smaller parties, and then
Mhm.
maybe we could have some representative democracy. But the way it is right now, the Democrats have given over all of their power to the corporate heads and Wall
Mhm.
Street. And so whoever is writing the biggest, fattest check is making the decisions anytime that we have Democrats in power in our US federal government. The Republicans are, we might be seeing another split in the Republicans, just like with the Tea Party a few years ago. I don't know if anybody has done their research on the Tea Party, and I'm probably going to butcher it because I don't really know as much as I would like to know about it. I know that the MAGA group is causing some problems for the old school McCain
Mhm.
Republicans. At least that's what I'm observing, because I live in Arizona and it has been predominantly a Republican state, and John McCain was from Arizona. So those types of Republicans are not necessarily happy with the new MAGA group, but the new MAGA group are itching to make changes within the Republican Party. That's all
Mhm.
I know. That's all I know.
Mhm. That's a good research point. I'm gonna write it down so maybe I can look into it as well. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, that when I said two generations, I kind of mean it like my generation as one, and then my kids, the next generation. So I think by the time my kids are grown up, and that generation, which is generation Alpha, I believe, I think Generation Alpha would definitely change the Democratic Party, because what they're growing up and they're seeing what the Democratic Party is right now, same thing with every other party. They're gonna look at that while they're growing up, and by the time they're old enough to vote, I think they would either change it for the better, or like you said, break it up into different factions or whatever. But they should definitely have more than the two-party system as the only ones that are always pulling in the vote. Like, I would, like I told you before, if I didn't have close primaries, I would change my registration, and I would most likely vote constitutionalist, probably, because I do feel more, like you said before, founding fathers and what they intended for the country to be like. And this is what I talk about with Jimmy all the time as well, and I see him in the chat. But I tell him, I say, but the system works, right? It's just the people throughout history, something happened. And then he goes, oh yeah, because they put us on a different constitution. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he goes on this whole like rant, and I love it when he gives me like a history lesson. But basically is like you said, these corporations have them in their back pocket, and that's what we need to break up. We need to break up those corporations, funding them to get into office, and then they do whatever they say. That's not American. That's not based on the Constitution. I think if we went like letter for letter, Constitution, we would be more free than what we are right now.
There's probably a lot in what you said, but I do want to make sure that everyone in the audience understands that in November, no matter which party you are affiliated with, you can vote for anybody. So even though the primaries are probably going on right now, you would only need to register if you're registered currently as an independent. The reason why you would need to register with a party is if you wanted to vote in the primary for that particular party. But in November, in the general election, you can vote for anybody. Just want to make sure everybody understands that.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that, because I thought that the same was also for the presidential election, because Florida is closed. So they said if you want to vote for the nominee of that party, then you would have to be of that party, like you just said. But the general election, like that little clarification you just made, I'm gonna double check, because if that's true, I might change my vote. I don't know, because I really wanted to vote for Trump, but I got my problems with Trump, and I don't know. I'm struggling with it. You see, this is why I'm doing this with you guys live, because it's literally shaping my own politics as well. My opinions are ever changing. I'm still growing. I'm still like getting there, but I think I would have to double check that for close primaries. If I wanted to vote red, I gotta be red. If I wanted to vote blue, I gotta be blue. So you do have to check the laws in your state. But I love that Randell Terry guy, constitutionalist. The only thing he said though that was a big L was when he said that he would, by the swipe of his pen, he would, start the war. He will start a war without the formal thing from Congress, and that's so anti-constitution. Like, what? Like, does he listen to himself? Like, I couldn't believe it when he said that. And then Chase, who's a libertarian, took the W from him and gave him like a slap on the wrist for even saying that. Ah, these
Yeah.
people, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, someone who is advocating for violence, it doesn't surprise me that he would also advocate for his own personal autonomy to be able to say that he could dictate who to execute next. Someone who actually does not want that type of power would never seek it out. So it's just something about his personality, something to think about.
Yeah. So you know what? I'll ask you guys a question. So Lucy and then Linda, who do you think won the debate?
Oh, Chase, hands down. They even, yeah, they even ran a poll afterwards. You can look it up.
Hmm.
The online poll said that he won the debate. There's certain criteria to winning a debate. You have to be able to speak your point, keep within time, and be able to answer the questions a certain percentage of the time. And he won it hands down.
Nice. Okay, Linda, who do you think won the debate in your opinion?
The debate that we were watching with your
Yes,
show. Okay.
were you able
I
to watch it?
I wasn't here for your whole show. I just came in and heard what I heard and went, no, she can't be really thinking. I don't know enough about it to even answer. I
Okay,
have to
so
pass. I have to
Linda,
pass.
okay, Linda, if you have some free time, get that link and watch it. It's a libertarian, a Green Party, and a constitutionalist. Really
Okay.
good debate. Really good. And Chase Oliver, which is the libertarian, I agree with Lucy and with the poll that he definitely did win it. I agree with like 95% of everything that guy said. He's
Yeah. Okay.
amazing. Yes.
I
Chase.
don't necessarily agree with everything that he says. I just agree that he won the debate. My candidate is Jill Stein. I would like to be able to vote for a woman who isn't, you know, tied into a scandal. That would be nice. I'd like to have our first woman president not be a scandalous one. And I think Jill Stein has proven that she can be an international diplomat and you know, she can do politics as well. She's been running. She's run, I think, one other time for president. Um, and this is her debate skills are getting better. She is it's difficult to get tree huggers to come out of the woods and talk to people, right?
Mhm.
I'm just taking a jab at my own party because the Green Party was actually started as a peace party, and it's the only international party. There are representatives of the Green Party in all the major first world countries, and they are
Nice.
in yeah they have membership in Parliament in Australia, New Zealand, and in the UK. They're also gaining traction in Germany and one of the Scandinavian countries. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Mhm.
And the Green Party has different flavors as well. In Mexico, the Green Party is a little bit more red, a little bit more conservative than let's say the Green Party in Scandinavia might be a little bit more liberal. So there's different flavors. But when you guys are talking about, having just one party or a unity, um, being part of an international party and seeing how difficult it is to translate beliefs over international lines, right?
Mhm.
Is challenging but exciting. The Green Party does have international conventions just like the J-Dubs, and they get together and talk about international stuff. So it's interesting.
Mhm.
Anyways,
That's a good thing, actually. Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
thing.
I invite anyone who hasn't done so, if you want to learn a little bit more about your own politics or your own belief systems, taking a couple of quizzes online, you can take some political quizzes and it'll kind of point you in the right direction. If you have any other questions about some of your beliefs, just keep coming back, and Ruby is going to teach us all about political literacy in 2024.
Oh my God. You know what? That's good. I'm gonna take a political test live.
Woo!
If you guys saw the episode with Roro, he's another ex Jehovah's Witness, and I met him on Twitter. He suggested the exact same thing. He said we should take a political test together, and I said we should do it live. And he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I have to text him to see if he can come back on. But I'm definitely gonna do that live with everybody. And I'm so glad that I started this show in this election season because I am dying to know what's gonna happen in November. I am dying. But you know what? What you just said about the Green Party, about the international stuff, that makes so much sense because it helps the world, right? Because the Green Party believes in like what Jill's website says, people, planet, peace, and that does include all the world. Like what they were saying in the debate about China and India when they're polluting the waters and they're polluting the air, but they want us, USA, to be, to change our ways. But what about changing their ways as well? It is an international issue when we're talking about climate pollution and all of those like buzzwords when they try to talk about Green New Deal or whatever. And then Jill Stein's website is like, this is the real Green New Deal, not the Green Deal that Miss AOC got going on. Because I think that's what you see that's what messes up the real message, is when people like AOC try to write something up that she knows that she probably doesn't even know nothing about. Meanwhile, it should be like a Jill Stein writing the Green New Deal because she is a part of the Green Party. That makes more sense.
I think I found what you were talking about earlier. I think it was SB 145. And I've looked at it a little bit and downloaded the PDF and stuff. So I'll be checking it out even more so.
Yes, somebody said that in the comments as well. And then Jimmy sent me the link, a website explaining it. And that's just one example that I can actually like remember on the top of my head, that the Democrat governor or Democrat state or Democrat city, they have actually supported it or have actually passed a law stating some controversial things in it. And that's when I kind of like distance myself away from it, and I'm like, ooh, that is not the hill you want to die on. And
No,
unfortunately,
if I would have read it and came up with a conclusion you did, I would have stayed away from it too. But when I just barely glanced at it, it's actually saying something different. So please look at it again. Please look at it again. It's not like, it's not saying a 20-year-old would be just fine dating a 10-year-old. That's not what it's saying.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. It's like the interpretation of it. It's like, so and that's that's the slippery slope, and that's dangerous as well. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if my governor.
I'm not sure what you're saying is dangerous. What's dangerous as well?
Like certain things like that, like when you put a time limit on something, or when you specifically say or like word a bill in a way that can be misconstrued or like misunderstood or misinterpreted. Those are the things that kind of get me like, oh, I'm gonna have to do research on this. I'm gonna have to look and see what the words actually say. Like you just said, reread it, and I will, because I'm like, those are one of the things off of the top of my head where that was the buzz phrase. That was like what the media went off with and said, oh, this Democrat governor signed this and you see what I'm saying? I mean, they did the same thing to DeSantis when he was like banning books, or he was attacking the LGBT community and things like that. But when you read the bill, you see once again, it's like, no, that's not what he meant, yada yada.
Oh yeah, don't say gay, but it's not really don't say gay.
Right.
Teachers were not supposed to say gay in classrooms, right? Yeah, there's a distinction.
Something like that. I mean, I would have to read that one as well. But that's what I'm talking about. Is like the media runs off with something, and then the world starts believing something that's not real, and then you have to do your research. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if the Democrats, they need to distance themselves away from that and specifically say, like, fact check themselves. No, this Democrat, this, and then it can help the narrative. But since I don't see that coming from anywhere, especially Kamala's website or Joe or Joe Biden's website. It's like, what do they stand for? What's their platform? She says she's running for president, but when I look at her website, it's empty. It only has like cash, like if you want to donate now, but you don't know what she stands for. So I it's like like it sucks for me because I want to give the Democrat, their attention and do a video, like do a stream like this, but I can't even do that because she doesn't even have a platform there. So hopefully she updates her website and then we can come back and then talk, okay, this is what Harris whatever agenda or like ticket, this is what they stand for, and then that can better inform everybody. So yeah.
Well, you know how you were saying earlier, you don't want it to have like, where I want to go with this is, in some instances, or most, at least in California, under 14, if someone wants to pursue someone under 14, that falls under CSA. Above 14 might not, or 15 or 16 might not. But so there is that thing there for a reason, okay? And when my daughter turned over that age of 18, and her boyfriend was still younger than the 18, so he fell into that okay zone, and she was already an adult, and so, which also, I put somebody in prison, not Jehovah's Witness related, but someone did pursue my older daughter, and they did put him in prison because of that statement of, pursuing somebody younger than 14. So, it's helpful to have kind of these boundaries and statements and to get clarity on them. So, yeah.
Right. No, I agree with you. In the state of New York, I was 17 and my now husband, he was 20. And that was an age gap that we had to look up the law, honestly, because we were like, oh my God, can you go to jail for that? So
No.
I do understand the consent
But
laws.
I got scared because I'm the mom, I'm having
Right,
him
yeah.
over. It might like
Right,
set
yeah.
up. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, my mom too. She was like, you guys, and it wasn't even about like the Jehovah Witness stuff. She was like, you guys don't even understand. He could probably go to jail. And I'm like,
Yes.
okay, all right, let's look up the law. And then thankfully, I had just turned 17. That was the year of my birthday. If it was before the month of May and I was still 16, then he could have been persecuted. But since it was after the month of May, after my birthday, then it was okay. So you see, like, those are the laws that I'm talking about. In Florida, they call it Romeo and Juliet laws, where exactly what you say, they are like 2 years apart and the person is 16, 17, and then the other one is 18, 19, but he's considered an adult because he's over 18. So I totally get it, and that's why those laws are in place, because I mean it does happen, but there should be, like you said, the bottom line where you're like, no, this is a child cannot consent to this.
Precisely. Yes,
Right.
precisely.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. Yep. Well,
So thank you for allowing me on your show today.
No, thank you for coming. I totally enjoy listening to all different parties, listening to all different viewpoints and ideas, and talking about this, because then we could actually make these ideas materialize into a vote. You know what I mean? Like, we can actually do something about it. You know what I mean? We're not just talking and wasting our time. This is healing. This is moving forward. This is learning. And then we could actually vote. Like I'm dying to vote. I love it.
That's
so
awesome.
much.
Good for you. And I'm going to cheer for you all the way down to the polling place. It's like, yes. Ruby's voting today. Woo. And
I'm
I
gonna do
don't
a
have
picture.
Absolutely. You got to post it and everything. But of course, not on Facebook, because that's for us old folks,
Nah, probably like on YouTube community notes or Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go.
Oh my goodness. So, all right, guys, I've been here for like 3 hours. That is crazy, all by myself. without Jimmy. um, and it is midnight where I am at, so I'm going to end the stream here. But I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Linda, Lucy, the chat for joining joining the stream, joining the chat, and spending time with me. Like we had a really good time watching the debate together. So next time, if there's like another debate, I'll do a live stream for that one, and then I'm definitely doing a live stream for November. You know what I mean? So as soon as things come up and pop up, I'm definitely going to be coming on here and doing this political show every Tuesday at 9 p.m. I will be here. And if anybody wants to come, yeah, definitely come back. We can talk about different things. As soon as you see the title, like when I schedule the live and you know what I'm talking about, get ready, do some homework, because sometimes I put some links and I'm like, guys, watch this before Tuesday because I'm going to talk about it.
Okay, I'll talk
Yes.
with you later. Bye-bye.
Bye, Linda. Have a good night. And have
too.
a good night to everybody. Yep, just last announcements. If you do want to be a mod for my chats on my channel, because I know Vern has his own mods and we're streaming from both channels. If you want to be a mod on my channel and pull up comments for me or help me with like the StreamYard stuff behind the scenes and bring comments up and stuff like that, DM me on Discord or Twitter, something, because as I'm talking with people, I can't get to everybody at the chat. So I'm trying to like read at the same time I'm listening to, whoever I'm talking to. So it gets a little hard. So I think I'm going to need a mod. All right. So I am going to play the outro and I want everybody to have a good night. And I hopefully will see you on Friday. I don't know. So Vern, let me know when you want to start the news on Fridays, because the news is piling up. We've been out like not doing the news for like 3 weeks now. So let me know when we're going to start doing Fridays. I'm getting over this cold, but next Tuesday, definitely I will be here. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye.